Hello, hello, happy Friday. Welcome to our Friday Witchy Hangout. We do this every single Friday. Sorry, I was distracted by the chat. You guys are hilarious. If you're joining in later, everybody's been speculating what Alex, my husband, who's always here in the background, looks like because they see him, they know he's there, but they don't know what he looks like. And there's been a lot of speculation and it's been really funny. um, Ellen said pants off Friday.
Yes.
Yes. I wish you know how much that's a running joke in this house. I'm wearing pants right now, just so you know. That's not what I meant by that. Anyways, moving right along. Welcome to Friday. We do a juicy question of the universe and we just see what comes through. We hang out, we mix our energies, and we typically have a pretty good time. Sometimes we laugh, sometimes we cry. We experience the full gambit of human emotions here. And most of the time, this is a pretty safe place to do that. And if it's ever not, then we've got people that are kind of monitoring the chat and who will assist us in returning ourselves back to the happy place that we are and know ourselves to be. So today we're doing a juicy reading on are they getting karma? And I used to feel really weird about doing this reading topic. I don't know why, because it's not coming from me, like just trying to tap into the energy like any other question. But I don't know, because I don't know why, but I just used to feel a certain way about it. And now I don't feel that way at all anymore. So it's like, let's just see what's going on here in someone's karmic field. And keep in mind, karma is like a neutral term. It means action. It doesn't necessarily mean as something bad happening to this person, but it's like an action and its consequence. Like, what is the ripple effect of who somebody has been in the past? How is that playing out in the future? How are they something that maybe you noticed in them or had affected you in a certain way? Are they understanding that? Are they having that mirrored back to them in certain ways? We shall see. So we have 3 choices as per usual, and we do have an anchor card with this one, and it's so appropriate. So the anchor card here is the mask. Appropriate, right? So the anchor card is not an option, but I do feel like we read the cards together. I feel like if you're drawn to tarot, you're intuitive, even if you don't know yourself to be that way. And so any messages that you're kind of getting off of like the image or like any vibes that you're getting, or it's just good to note that, because that the anchor card is the energy that kind of mixes in a little bit with each pile here. This is kind of the what's the word? Consistent energy, or the consistent energy for everybody that's kind of tuned in here is this kind of like mask energy that might show up in different ways in different piles, but there it is. I'll let you have a look at that, a little gander. All right. Automatic memory medium said, I feel like Capricorn is one of the signs you touch on the least. That's funny, because I feel like Capricorn is actually a sign that comes out a lot, but maybe I do touch on it the least. But also, like for me, you don't, like when I use the signs, I use it as kind of a language, like a kind of an energy that we're all kind of dealing with. And it doesn't necessarily mean like you have to be a certain sign or anything. I hope that makes sense. It's like, it's not that I don't read for Capricorns. I actually probably read for a lot of Capricorns, because in my own chart, Capricorn is in my 6th and 7th house, which is like my daily routine and also like people that I'm in a relationship with. I usually am around a lot of Capricorns. Yeah. Okay, so now that we've looked at that, let us put up the choices. So pile number 1 is the Underworld. This is the direction that it goes, just so you know which one's which. So pile number 2 is the Bardo, and pile number 3 is the Village. So we'll put them all up. And if you haven't already chosen your pile or been drawn in, now's the time that you can do that. And even if you have, this is the time in the reading that we like to just allow our energy to drop, have a moment of silence, and really tap into the part of us that is beneath having a routine, any stresses, our names, anything like that. So we can go ahead and do that now. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back to us in the present and be drawn into whatever pile or multiple piles you are drawn into. Maybe somebody's getting a lot of karma. Maybe you're asking about more than one person. Maybe there's a mixture of two piles here. Take that however it resonates for you. Yeah. All right. So I'm just going to leave this up here for another moment or two. And then we will go into the reading. I don't know why I'm talking like that. I don't know if you guys can hear the ASMR, but like I always have like a seltzer water and I can hear it. Like whenever I get quiet, I can hear like the little bubbly of that. And then like the crackle of the candle wick in the background. And I'm like kind of between these like really tingly, like bubbly sounds. And I really like it. It's a nice place to be between the bubbles, between the cracks. Here with Jess, between the cracks. No. Okay. So let us, on that note, we'll go into pile number 1. All right. Pile number 1. Let's get in between the cracks with pile number 1. I'm joking. Okay. It's pile number 1. Receiving karma. Okay. Okay, we got the King of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck here. Okay, I feel like, yes, definitely, this person is receiving some kind of karma here. I'm actually getting a lot of information with this one. You guys are so funny. Okay. So, yeah, I do feel this person is getting karma. I kind of feel like it's a lot of karma and I feel like it's like piled up because it seems to me like this person has like gotten away with something for a long period of time, or they thought they got away with it. And maybe they actually hadn't gotten away with something. Like they thought they kept something private is what I'm getting. And for some, it's like maybe they thought that they had kept like a text message thread private, or they thought they had kept a conversation private. They thought they had kept something under wraps or private or secret, and it's somehow gotten out. It also could be that this person thought that they had tied up some kind of loose end, or even like loose ends plural, where nothing was like going to get out, or they weren't going to be exposed. Exposed. I think I said that in another reading that's like in the pipeline to come out. Exposed. But I feel like, okay. So that I just saw like a photograph. There could be like a photograph, or it could have to do with like a memory or something here. I'm hearing the word artifact. I'm hearing the word evidence. I feel like this person is kind of like watching something here like be unearthed, possibly in real time. And I just saw like a bunch of papers and stuff too. And it could be that like certain things are like kind of being pieced together. I'm hearing like kind of following a trail of breadcrumbs or something. And it's led somebody back to like a cave where this person like kind of lives. That was a loud sound, if that confirmation maybe, where that is like, it's where they live. And I feel like this person kind of lives in a cave, which I think is like maybe a self-esteem issue, but they kind of live in this underworld. I feel like this person has worn a mask actually for a long period of time. They presented themselves in a way that is not true. And it could be that I feel like there is something that comes off like very casual or very natural or very seamless about this person, but I don't think it's that way. I think this person's actually very good at the con is what I'm getting. They're very good at like the long game too is what I'm hearing. And that has to do with this like King of Pentacles energy. So I just heard the word stooge. I feel like, or that could be for some of you, maybe this person has been like made the stooge, like made the fallout guy. And it could be that like, again, something has played out into the long term and then like somebody has thrown them under the bus. But I feel like this person is watching like all their secrets be exposed. I think in some extreme cases, that could even be like a court case. Where somebody is like bringing forth like evidence or artifacts and it's like exhibit A, and it's like this artifact that this person thought was like buried or hidden, or they didn't think that it would have any meaning or that somebody would be able to kind of like piece certain things together. It just feels like there's a spotlight on this person, but I'm also kind of getting that this person is watching this happen, but like they're still hidden. They're not being seen, or they're trying not to be seen watching this happen. So it could be that they could be watching some kind of conversation like go on between two people, but they're not supposed to be seeing or something. I don't know. Or, but it also could be that maybe they are like in a court case, they would be like sitting there in the room, but they're giving one impression they're like wearing a mask of maybe innocence, or like they're unbothered, or like that it's untrue, but they're like actually watching it like, oh my gosh, like that is the truth, like, or something here. But this person is like, yeah, they're watching that. I feel like this person gave an impression that they were like wise, or very observant about something. So they could have said like, oh, I'm observing this, but like they weren't really. Yeah, that's Luna. So the little girl cat, she's like the moon. And I'm getting this to me almost looks like an owl in the background here, but it also like, oh, look, I just like put this is like Inception. It's very meta. It's like this card within a card. But anyways, I'm sorry, I'm bad with this camera. See this little thing there? It looks like an owl to me, but it also looks like a moon. And then Luna's chirping in the background and she's the moon. So again, it's, they could have said that they noticed something here. It's a secret. They could have said this. This strikes me as like projection. Okay, this strikes me as the person who like did the thing, but they're always like a victim. It's giving kind of covert narc, and I don't mean that as like the clinical diagnosis of covert narcissist. I kind of mean that as like what those two words mean, and then like put them together. So covert means like hidden, and narcissist is like self-absorbed. So I feel like this person has this like hidden self-absorption where maybe they pretend to be like the moon. They pretend to be like caring or nurturing, or but there could have been some kind of cycle about this where they dip in and they dip out, or I also feel like they could have taken credit for someone else's work that is actually very like nurturing. So it's like, I don't know, somebody who, say their parent is like getting more elderly and they have a nurse that comes and like helps, and the nurse does that, but then like she leaves and then the family shows up and they're like, oh yeah, I did all this. But really the nurse that just left actually did all this. But like that person took credit for like that, them being like nurtured or cared for or taken care of. It feels like I just heard reflected glory with the moon, like, because the moon reflects the sun's light. So I feel like they reflected something and they acted like it was theirs. They acted like it was their emotions, or they acted like it was their reflection or their nurturance, or they acted like it was their sustenance or something. And it's because this person just wears a mask. And I think that they feel like hollow on the inside, or they're actually very depressed, or they have like very low self-esteem. And I just feel like this person is being found out. I also feel like there could be a person that's like sitting on their shoulder. It could be the devil on their shoulder that's kind of like told them to go this way, because this person maybe could have gone a different way earlier on. I'm kind of getting that actually. There's also something here about like, because with the Underworld card, this kind of reminds me of like compost, right? Where, and it's compost breaks down in this like metabolic process. And as it does that, it kind of, it off gases, that's kind of what I'm seeing here. It's like it produces some kind of, it's breaking down, but it's like kind of producing some type of something here. Could have just like with air, like built and built and built until it like popped, if that makes sense. And then it released kind of a stench, like, I don't know, here about this person. And it's like their lies are all being exposed. I just heard it again, exposed. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. And it could be that, it has to do with, they're watching something. They're watching something. Okay, so here's another bit. I think this person could be watching somebody get their independence from them. Somebody that they tried to control with their lie. The other thing is that like a victim of theirs or a target, whether they were successful in whatever they tried to do to this target, they could have been trying to frame them. Because like, I didn't quite finish my thought on the covert narc thing, because the covert narcissist is somebody that you don't realize is a narcissist. You actually kind of feel bad for them. They're always the victim. Like no matter what they themselves did, they're always in some kind of victim role, to where you're like, does anything good happen in your life? Like, it's just, and it's especially in cases where they're like not the victim, and actually they should be taking some level of responsibility for their actions or their words or what they did. Because I feel like this person, I just heard boasted, or like they were boastful. They tried to take credit for someone else's work, or they tried to take something. There's like kind of thief energy here, but it's moon thief energy, where they tried to give an illusion that they were nurturing. So they could have taken somebody's work or somebody's insight or somebody's soft reflective space, their own life that they had metabolized and like integrated in themselves, and presented it as their own work, or presented it as their own sustenance, or like, I don't know, something here like that. But so there's that like covert factor. But whoever they were targeting with this, and that could be whoever they were trying to fool into thinking like, oh, I'm a nurturing person, or I'm a perfect person to have a family with the moon. whoever they're trying to fool, I feel like has gotten away from them, is maybe doing well, is independent, so is single. So they're trying to get this person to maybe see them as a king of pentacles and like, ooh, I'm matching your energy with all these pentacles and stuff. But really, they're not. They're trying to get somebody to trust them, and they're the wrong person to trust because it's all, I'm just seeing this like all cardboard, that person's like getting away. Yeah. And I feel like they could be watching this person. Look at all this Pentacles energy. They're watching this person like move away, have a happy routine, be happy on their own, find something that they love to do. And like, they're kind of preoccupied here. It feels like very peaceful and very happy. They look really nice. They look really elegant. This could also be somebody, though, that they tried to pin something on, that they tried to frame. And it could have been because they were afraid of being found out. And I think they were afraid of being found out because they were up against somebody who is actually all the things that they pretend to be. Somebody who is actually soft, somebody who's actually nurturing, somebody who actually was harmed by them, maybe in secret, maybe under the guise of it being nurturing or caring or something like that. And so they didn't want to be found out. So instead they made a whole bunch of like horseshit nonsense accusations towards like this person. But I think they're watching that person like overcome or actually be heard or believed. Not for everybody is this a court case, but I think for some of you, it's like there's like an element of justice here of like, and now the victim is being heard. But it feels like something was like really stockpiled. Like it went on for a long time. And this person thought that they got away with it. They really did. Because I feel like this person kept doing a lot. And it just kind of like compiled. And so it's like everything's coming out at once. It's not just one thing that this person did. It's like unraveling. I feel like this person's enduring some kind of like unraveling where people are seeing through the mask. Their mask is being pulled off and it actually looks kind of creepy to people now. It actually looks like what it is, which is just, oh, you put this like mask forward in order to try and lure people in or bait people in, but this isn't what you actually are. You actually are this other way. And I think this person could have fooled people. There could be some kind of shock that this person holds a certain type of belief or that they align with a certain kind of group or even religion. I just heard something that presents as a religion because it's not in alignment with something that they have professed. And it's very hypocritical, but they don't understand that it's hypocritical because something here that they put forth isn't real. Like it doesn't actually come from them. It didn't come from the inside out. And so they're kind of being exposed as like a fake or a fraud or somebody. Also, this could be like a front business for some of you where it's like, okay, this seems like it's one thing, but it's actually another thing. That's again for just like a small number of people. Like, I don't know. I just heard like money laundering for some of you. Yeah. And I think somebody else here is maybe looking at the past. Yeah. Look, she looks angry, doesn't she? It's like she's now looking at the other pentacle because it's like somebody here has fallen for it is what I'm getting. Like somebody here fell for this person's King of Pentacles. They took this pentacle and they thought, oh, I've got the King of Pentacles, and that could be they're in a relationship with this person or they like bought in. And now all of a sudden they're looking at this other pentacle and they're like, wait a second here. And Two of Pentacles is Jupiter and Capricorn. Hey, somebody, remember how somebody was like, oh, we don't automatic memory medium. Here's your Capricorn. This is Jupiter and Capricorn, but Jupiter doesn't do well in Capricorn. It does in some places, but overall Jupiter doesn't do very well in Capricorn because Jupiter and Saturn have a history. And I feel like, yes, I said that Jupiter and Saturn have a history. So Jupiter maybe, Jupiter and Capricorn, to me, it's confusing because it's like two energies that you think you would want together because Capricorn is like success and it's business and the way that you're seen. So they could be trying to be seen as Jupiter. This is kind of this person's fatal flaw is what I'm getting because they want to be seen as Jupiter, right? So they're like, oh, Jupiter and put it in Capricorn, put it in my 10th house, but it's not there naturally. And that's Jupiter actually is very restricted and doesn't like to be and doesn't do well. And it's this flip-floppy nature. I feel like this person kind of like flip-flops in terms of like their stances. Again, something's not in alignment where it's like they have certain beliefs or something. This is also kind of like an obnoxious person where they might like put their beliefs forward, but it's very much like, well, this is who I am. And you don't need to do that to have a personality and to like be who you are, You don't have to stick the landing or like always take up a position or something. You can be a person who's figuring things out. It's okay. And you can just kind of show this metabolic process. And maybe that's how they've been exposed as a fraud is because in some kind of metabolic process, something here doesn't add up or they're unable to do the metabolic process in a way that's like correct. It kind of exposes them. But yeah, so I feel like they wanted to be seen as Jupiter and maybe they were seen as like expanding, but it seems like something here like popped and it wasn't good. Like what was underneath it. And people have kind of like seen that. And now I feel like, yeah, this person could be juggling. So it could have affected them financially. They're kind of split. it feels like something here is really made manifest about like the split in this person's soul and like some kind of mask that they were wearing. Marrying is another thing. Yeah, they could have tried to fool someone or did fool someone. They wanted some kind of quick results, maybe in burdening someone else. I feel like they had a target here. They wanted to make somebody else responsible, or this is also where they wanted somebody to make me feel bad that they lost them or something. This is also like kiss my ass, like, because it feels like somebody here was trying to get away from them, trying to turn a corner in their soul, because I think this person maybe uses money or they use something material, but they use it in the wrong way. And they wanted to make somebody feel like you should never have left me, kind of a thing. But really whoever left them should absolutely have left them. But they were trying to project. They were trying, Darvo, that's what it is. They were trying to reverse the victim and offender. That's what I'm seeing here. Defend, attack, reverse victim and offender. That's what they were trying to do. But they were trying to do it under the guise of moon energy. And I think that they tried to accuse somebody here who is actually just genuinely in their moon energy, genuinely pensive or reflective or nurturing or like kind of working, metabolizing some kind of darkness that this person is or that this person placed upon them. Because this person just being around them, I think, is enough. You don't have to place this upon, like just being around this person who's a fakey fake is enough to make you have to kind of, wait a second, something's not adding up here. And I think this person's most afraid of that. They're most afraid of someone who can see something doesn't add up here. Your values are actually maligned in a way that you have not reconciled. It's kind of obvious. And it's because you're trying to play both sides against the middle kind of a thing. And so I feel like this energy is kind of flipped. They're being seen as coming up short in the past and of like peddling some type of fantasy or like, yeah, there's a tower moment here. Possibly on making somebody go independent here as well too. This person who now is maybe thriving or some kind of target. I feel like this person's had many targets for different reasons. They have targets that they try to delude and dupe into being on their side when they should actually be being held accountable and they should be saying, I'm sorry. Somehow they'll find a way to make themselves the victim even when they're in the position of power. This is a person who will be in like the position of power and they'll still be like, and it's not to say that people like that can't be harmed or anything, but it's like, they could like move out of the way or something. They really could just like sidestep. Yeah, there's really a period of judgment, where something's being unearthed. That's really what I'm getting. Something that they thought was long buried, something that they thought somebody would never find, the real them. They thought that they had deaded and killed the real them and put on like this other mask. And I think for some of you, it's like a bohemian mask, or it's like a lot of people come to the spiritual community with bad intentions as well, because there they find empathetic people, and they also find philosophies that they can warp, and especially in the spiritual community rather than like something like psychology. This is the kind of person who would warp psychological concepts as well. But there's at least like psychology is at least a soft science, and you will have people in that community that just push back on the scientific method, and they understand how to read a study. They know what the methods section means. They know what an abstract is. They're gonna they know how to navigate that more. Whereas in the spiritual community, we're all seekers, right? We're all trying to kind of figure things out. So this person, I feel like, has really thought that they could worm their way in or like become an expert, but it's all based on fluff and bullshit. But this person's good at kind of bullshit, is what I'm getting. And they don't have to be a leader in that. I think that they could be like kind of a wolf in sheep's clothing, and they're looking for sympathy is what I'm getting. They're looking for some kind of sympathy. This is somebody who is like, my ex-wife did me really dirty, but meanwhile, because I just get the sense of projection where like this person actually does the things to other people. They make other people feel the way that they talk about, and it confuses people, and but they've been found out. I think there's, if this person went independent in some kind of way, shape, or form, there was some type of secret behind that. They left maybe a relationship or a person or a job. There was something, they pitched it in a certain way, but it wasn't what it seemed. I think they also could have muddied the waters about somebody else going independent. But if somebody went independent from them, that person's the hermit now. I think whoever went independent from them, which could have been a spouse, it could have been somebody that they were abusing or trying to, the person who went independent was always noble, is what I'm getting. We've got the Knight of Pentacles, which this is Critica energy, which is the birthplace of the sun. And the sun is very bright. And that's what I'm getting is like whoever they were I feel like Spirit placed this person kind of next to a sun energy so that this person is seen. So, and it feels good for this person to be around the sun because this is kind of Pluto energy, kind of, distant. And Pluto's a very cold planet. It's the furthest one out from the sun. I know it's not technically a planet, but it's like the astrological way that we use planet of like a body in space. And so it feels really good and it likes to be around the sun, but the sun is also very clarifying. And I think next to this person, without this person's maneuvering and secrecy and everything, they're going to be seen for what they are. I think that started to happen in a justice movement. This person did not accept that. They tried to like get away with something and they tried to throw dirt on somebody's name. And, but that person was always noble and they kind of like went their own way and had to go independent. There's judgment for that right now, but that person's the hermit. They had to they became very wise. Maybe they were isolated, but it wasn't unhappy. Like this person has like genuinely a lot of wisdom. And it's causing people to kind of take a second look here or to get curious in something here as well too, and to see the situation entirely differently. And to maybe cut this person off. And I don't know where this person's at in this cycle because I feel like there's getting ready to be like a decision or somebody here is like cutting this person off. Could have to do with funds. This person could also be reliant on other people for like funds in some kind of way. And those people are like getting ready to cut this person off. And whoever they've like harmed or is like moving forward. Like quickly. Yeah, I think a group is maybe telling this person that they need to leave. Because they wanted to be like worshipped or something. They wanted like all the glory, or they wanted, the strength card came out. It's a Leo energy. So they wanted maybe to be seen and like praised, because the woman in that picture is like petting the lion. And I feel like, they wanted their ego stroked is what I'm getting. They wanted to, something to do with like legacy, but all of it is like false. They wanted to take someone's destiny even, or to be seen in the same light, but they can't do that without thieving the energy. And this person has not a scruple in sight. And feels probably victimized when karma just plays out the way that it should. This person may even speak about karma. Or religion or something here. They had some kind of plan. I'm telling you, this person had a full plan to disrespect someone and get away with it. And that person is now like free and safe and peaceful and closing down this chapter and kind of cold to the situation, but everything's growing around them. And I think they've got protectors. This could be spirit guide energy, but they have people that like, this is fixed sign energy. So people who are established, people who are nobody's fool, that are like very much looking after this person, so that whoever they tried to hurt is now like in full peace. Like they can be in peace. And that's what they're getting. And I think it's because somebody here resisted the lure of the devil. This person like made somebody some kind of tempting offer, or it could even be to admit that they did something that they didn't do or something, but this person like withstood it. And I feel like somebody here is, just moving on, and they're seeing somebody be like blessed. And I don't necessarily mean like with gobs of money. I think it's with like the one thing this person didn't want, which is like being believed and like being heard and actually seeing the way this person was maneuvering in the shadows. And something here is, again, it's like piled up. And they thought that they had hidden something. They thought that they had successfully confused people by giving them other options. And I think other options is like a different narrative or like a different context to put their actions in. They felt all they needed to do was confuse people about this other person's positive nature. You know, that's all they needed to do. But it's not, because there was something maneuvering that got this person. Yeah. Something, there could even be like, it's spirit guide energy or something like from the other side, from like the energy side of things that I feel like was kind of at work in this situation. There's karma being played out. They were never something that is the stronger energy. This person got played at their own game. And it might be by a person. Yeah. It's by a person who like genuinely cares about truth. They're not strategizing. They're just living up to themselves. You know, there's a quote in the Bible where Jesus says, if you bring forth what's within you, it will save you. And if you don't, it will destroy you. Somebody here has just brought forth what is within them, and it's the truth. And that's all they focus on. It's like, I like to watch BJ Investigates, and she calls herself like God's favorite. And people have really come after her, and she's like won every single time in court. And, you know, she's really been through like quite an ordeal. But, she's not trying to be strategic. She was trying to cover the truth. You know, all of it came back. Well, we don't need to go into that, but she was trying to look out for this woman who was like wrongly treated, and she was just speaking about it on her channel. And so she was just trying to like out the truth. That's what somebody's focus is here. And they maybe were put in some kind of period of stagnation. Again, it's very Virgo Pisces, which is kind of victim martyr. And I feel like they were maybe trapped in some kind of narrative that this person placed either at them, where it's a two-dimensional perspective of like, are you the victim or are you the martyr? Because this person always has like a structure that they put things into. It's not nuanced. It's not, well, I was victimized here, but I'm not a victim. Like, I'm going to figure out how to get my stuff together because I'm in charge of my life. And I'm not the martyr. It's like victim, rescuer, persecutor. I'm not that, I'm a full person. I mess up sometimes. I take responsibility when I do. That's not what's going on here. And so, yeah, I feel like they're getting a different idea about what they thought was happiness in the past when really it required some kind of loss of self. Somebody here required them to give themselves up, like their right to self-defense, their right to be angry at their own mistreatment, their right to think about themselves first, to put their own like mask on, their own oxygen mask of like, well, I got to get myself stable before like something was really eroded. And that person is just like moving on. Yeah. It could be that there is somebody here who has like power over this person and that kind of makes them tremble. That's also being brought into the picture because somebody cuts this person off and they have to like rely on that person. And they're watching somebody from their past that they were friends with. They were friends with as much as this person's capable of it because they were always maneuvering. And they tried to throw this person's sun, because this is sun in Scorpio. And I'm always seeing the sun in Scorpio kind of just get thrown into the pit. Like they try to throw you into a pit or this sun energy into a pit. They didn't want the truth being found out or seen. That was their wish fulfillment. They wanted to be seen as a wish fulfillment as well, but they're hiding all this stuff. They could have wanted a partner here. Here's the Leo energy again, because they could have wanted a romance, or they could have wanted a child, or to obscure the truth. They wanted to obscure the truth. I think about the fact that they're like the devil's cup, to be honest, or that they took the devil's cup, one of the two, and that I think they need to take responsibility and move away from something. And they just couldn't do it because they were obsessed with maybe teamwork or building with somebody. They wanted to break the mold, but they also could have like broken in. They could have broken in somewhere, but they tried to like slam in. And then but with a fantasy, they try to put forward some kind of fantasy in order to gain some kind of position or some kind of reputation that's not earned because their character doesn't align with this reputation. And that, look, Kali. There's divine feminine energy here, but it's like the Kali side of divine feminine that trampled on what this person's doing, and now they're experiencing a lot of anxiety. So yeah, this person's absolutely receiving karma. Anything else that Spirit wants you to know? Look, there's two queens here. So it could be that there's two queens that are like outing this person. It also could be that this person, I'm getting that again, that they're under somebody's thumb. There's three people here. So yeah, there's like multiple people here that's kind of making this person take responsibility for their actions. It's all divinely sanctioned. Tower. There's judgment here. There's really judgment here. And the tower they built is like crumbling and falling. They thought they were getting away with something. They thought that they were building. They thought this was Capricorn energy, the tower. They were like, look, I'm climbing my Capricorn energy. Meanwhile, they were just building a tower in vain. This person very much lacks wisdom. So yeah, I think I'm just going to leave that there. This person is absolutely, definitely getting karma. It's very well deserved. And they're trying to stay hidden. And they're also doing their covert narc thing. So they could be acting like the victim. A lot of victim narrative right now. I'm the victim, not the people I victimized. And this is definitely, I just heard a propagandist. They could consume a lot of propaganda, but I feel like everything about themselves is just propaganda. And they cling to it. It's very flimsy. They know it's false. But they cling to it because this is a person who's very good at lying, and they know not to let the mask slip. They just cling to it. This is the kind of person where you will literally catch them red-handed in the cookie jar, and they'll be like, it wasn't me. And they're just like, this isn't what it looks like. And you're like, it literally could be nothing else. Okay. Like it's very much like that. So yeah, this person's getting karma. I'm gonna leave that there. All right. So I'll put this back up, y'all. We just finished pile number 1 for those of you that are joining us, which was the Underworld. And TLDR, yeah, that person's getting karma. And now we're going to move on to pile number 2 because we do like order around here. We like things to go in numerical order. But I always like to point out that we don't have to go in numerical order. We could skip to pile number 3 if we wanted. We could have total and utter chaos and live up to the channel name if we wanted to. We could go pile number 3, pile number 1, pile number 2 if we wanted, but we don't. But we don't.
Or one of these days you could start with the bunny butt.
Who knows? One of these days we might start with the bunny butt. Do it. You won't. Do it. I dare you. You know me so well, I won't. I'm such a routine-oriented person. I just... Automatic memory medium. You woke up on a side of the bed this morning, didn't you? You just rolled straight onto the floor.
Think about how extra chaotic it would be if you did shuffle it up like that after talking about it and not doing it so many times.
Oh my gosh. Melissa Jackson, thanks for dishing the tea, Jess. Loving the truth and clarity. Thank you for the super chat. The day you actually do the piles in a different order would be the day. Oh my. You got accused of breaking in. Yeah, because that's what this person does. They accuse people of doing the thing that they did in order to cover their tracks. And also it's like throwing a stick, like, look over there. Don't look over here. Look over there. It's kind of transparent. If you've ever been around a child, I feel like and you catch them doing something naughty. It's that level of thinking that this person just does. I feel like most people, the reason this person can get away with this is maybe because they come from like wealth or something where it's like, they have something here where it's like you can't really question this person. It's not that people fall for it. It's just that they're in a certain position. Or it's just that people don't expect an adult to behave like this, but they do. Thanks. What if Mr. Alex looked like a bunny? Oh my gosh. That would be the cutest thing. Maybe he does. Maybe I've been married to a giant rabbit. Or not a giant rabbit. Maybe just a regular sized rabbit this whole time. Ah. He's a lawyer. Interesting. Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's not clever though. It's just black and white projection. I think this person just really sticks the landing. They're very convincing. They act very casual. That's what I think it is. I just think that they could have a certain level of charisma, but they learned it off other people. It's not genuine. They learned it off other people. They kind of, that person in pile number 1 very much just like observes people, watches what works, and then they put themselves forward. The mind F has been how everyone has believed him. I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. Yo. Yeah. All right. So shall we move on to pile number 2? Pile number 2. Pile number 2. Hey, 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 hey. Oh. Okay, sorry. That sounded like a You know what I'm doing with the... Okay. This person can be musical. Yeah, DJ. Okay, compassion for your ears. I got a new rose water. And actually, I think I still have some in my old rose water. I don't think I needed to open that. Okay. Ow. Okay, so ready for the nuance. All right, pile number 2. Is pile number 2 getting their karma? Okay. Yeah, pile number 2 is getting karma. This is funny though, because remember how I was telling you that karma is not just like code for something negative happening to them, like in terms of repercussion. This person's definitely getting a repercussion, but it is like because of their own genuine efforts. This is somebody who has done the damn thing. I feel like this person has actually been through their karma in the past. I'm seeing like some kind of very stormy, like very turbulent sea, which is giving like Ardra for me, which is in the middle of Gemini. It's one of the roughest nakshatras that there is, but it turns things. It's like one of its symbols is the teardrop. Another one is the emerald. So to me, it's like there's a connection there of like turning that teardrop into some kind of emerald. And I am getting like a fresh energy, like with the green of the emerald, like something that's bright and zesty. But this person definitely did go through some kind of like stormy seas where their boat was just kind of being knocked around. And it was knocked around like by that like salty water is what I'm getting. And also I'm seeing the water being like pitch black. So they didn't know what was underneath. So it could have been like their own emotional storms, but it could have also been the emotional storms of other people. This person could have had like money issues, but I don't think this was like necessarily a lack of money. It could have been, but it was just like instability in that, or like I don't know, something, it doesn't have to be, it could be like the emotional thing, but yeah, this person like went through some type of karma in their past. And I think that was because maybe they were dealing with, it's that, look, that's the pitch blackness that I'm kind of seeing. And that kind of looks like a sun, doesn't it? Like you can see the black here in the middle. It looks like a black sun, like a fake sun that's actually like a black hole. That's like, so I think they could have fallen for somebody's mask here. And I think that they needed to confront that earlier in their life. Like in some, like it feels like before 35, before Saturn kind of like comes to its full maturation. And this person did that. It could have even been with like more than one person here, with all these like skulls kind of latched on to this person. And it's because they needed to know their own light, and they needed to, I think courage was a big thing here. And they needed to like learn about themselves, and they needed to get stronger. And I feel like they did. And so they've come through that in the past. So, and they've really found their own strength. But I feel like it was through betrayal. And I feel like it was through heart energy. I think this person has a lot of heart energy, and they felt like that was controlled. Like, I think people would say messed up things to this person, where they would say, unless you wear your heart on your sleeve, you don't have heart energy. And I want your heart on your sleeve so I can punch it whenever I want to. It's like that. Yeah, they had to deal with the devil energy. And they're free from it. I feel like this person has like genuinely earned their freedom from something in their past. Yeah, they really closed out some kind of karmic cycle. They're seeing everything all differently now. Wow, there's like a lot of major arcana cards. Powerful, powerful cards here. This person has garnered a certain level of like elevation, wisdom. They have a lot of respect and love for the littler person that they were in the past. And yeah, because they went through a period where they didn't have a lot of power. And it feels like power in the world. And where they were just like felt like kind of knocked around by everything, and they emerged like much stronger. Now I feel like their karmas are coming back to them. I heard like threefold, where I feel like this person is this like very beautiful looking sand dollar thing that's like radiated out. And I think that now it's something here has like shown them who they really are. It's shown them, like that quote that says spiritual adepts often prefer the dark because there they can see their own light, what's coming from them and what's coming from other people, so that they're not confused and they know exactly where they are. I feel like this person is kind of still learning that, but I think right now they're, it's like they're coming out of whatever that like massive major karma was, where I feel like that's when they were getting some negative effects, and they needed that. It felt like very stark. And I'm picturing that boat. It's like they had to ration, like something here, like they had to ration certain things. And, maybe health was an issue as well, because I'm kind of getting like the scurvy vibes with like, where do you get vitamin C on a ship, and there's not a lot of like sunshine or anything. So it felt like this person was just like lost for a while, and they're coming out of that, but they're still kind of in that darkness where they're still going through this like karmic test, this spiritual lesson of deciding who's real and who's not. I feel like this person has had to deal with a lot of fakes. So this could be the person that had to deal with pile number one, or multiple pile number one like people. And they're having to judge like what is authentic and what isn't, what is a mimic and what isn't, where should I be investing my energy and what should I not. This person's kind of coming out. And I think that this person, I'm hearing like music. It's funny because the like, but I'm just hearing like, as I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left. I feel like this person has a song. They have like, it feels like that, like, that song is like, dun, 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 dun. And it's like really just like, ooh, it gives you like the chills. And it's very bodied kind of song. And it's like, whoa, that person's like really been through something. Like that's kind of what I'm getting from this person. But like they metabolized it. They're in the process of like really integrating it, and it's from the inside out. And so this person's like different than the people around them. I feel like this person, I'm getting something around the throat chakra that was part of like something to do with their karma, where I think at the beginning, they didn't have power, so they were restricted around the throat chakra, which may have affected their ability to make money, or like their ability, confidence is like right around there as well. But there's like a restriction so that they had to observe more. And I'm seeing things like, and down here from the ground, I see who you are. And they had to notice that like, wait, something's not adding up here. Because this person was like almost forced into a submissive role, or they were forced into some kind of silence. They understand power dynamics is what I'm getting. I think that might have been part of their karma, and it might have been something that they needed to work through, is understanding power dynamics. I'm also hearing understanding how things really work. This person could have been very naive. I think genuinely, this person was like very naive, and they thought everything was sunshine and rainbows, not just the people around them. I think this is the kind of person that was like, I'm hearing from Pride and Prejudice, which may be themes here that they've had to deal with. But when Jane says to her sister, she's like, oh or no, Lizzie says to her sister Jane, she says, all the world is good and agreeable in your eyes. Like, I feel like this is the person where they were very naive and all the world was good and agreeable, because this person, this is like a very innocent person. And they genuinely only want what's theirs. They don't want to take from anybody else. And it would not make them happy to be like greedy. If this person's like, no, I want 2 sandwiches. And this is a person who understands that. If I take 2 sandwiches, does that mean somebody else doesn't have a sandwich? This person thinks like that. They think about other people genuinely. And I think they've been projected upon by all these, a pawn. This person's been used as a pawn. That really stood out to me. They've been projected upon by like the people around where they're like, they can't possibly be that nice. Oh, that's a facade. Oh, they're strategizing in order. They just want to look a certain way. No, that's you and all your friends too. It's not this person, but pride and prejudice. These people had like a chip on their shoulder. They were very prideful about their position. These also could be people that were born with a silver spoon in their mouth or without any this energy that this person had to traverse through, this like very messy waters. These people didn't have to deal with that. And to the extent that they did, it's like pretty much like their own making. It's like you were kind of, that situation is entirely of your making. Like, you didn't need to do that, but you put yourself in that. Nobody's doubting that you're having a hard time, but like, this person was really at the whim of other people because they bought into other people's innocence when it really wasn't there. And so this is a kind of projection too, where this person projected out their own innocence and they projected out their own kind-hearted nature, their own empathy. And I think they've really been shocked that other people are so flagrantly asshole-ish, and just very selfish, and will just blatantly put forward some kind of, because the people that are around them, they think that's what everybody does, and so this person was like, whoa. And I just heard taken for a ride. They were really just like taken for a ride, taken for granted. This person pulls a lot of weight and they're just constantly taken for granted, but they've learned their lessons. And so this is not somebody who just goes through a difficult time. They have really learned a lot from it. This is somebody who, like I said, they were forced into some kind of submission and silence. And so they've observed a lot. This is a listener first. And I think they were around a lot of people who parrot the same things that they have kind of learned, but it's from a very superficial place. And because this person's so genuine in, and it's softened their heart, whatever it is. Like, this person, I think, has been victimized. I don't think they look at themselves like a victim, though. I think it actually took them a while to even admit that they were being yanked around, and that the people that they, it's like Jane. This kind of reminds me of Jane in Pride and Prejudice, where, another thing that Lizzie says to her, she's like, oh, Jane, you never think ill of anybody. She's like, why? Because Jane is talking about Caroline, who is a dick. And she's like, but I just know her to be incapable of willfully deceiving anybody. And Lizzie, who's nobody's fool and sharp as a tack and very observant, she's like, oh, Jane, you never think ill of anybody. But really, Caroline is maneuvering, wants to be with Mr. Darcy, in my opinion. Like, it just, and is very intentionally undermining of the Bennet girls and of who they are in their social standing, is doing that tactfully in a feminine way on purpose. And so I feel like this person has had to realize that about people. Oh, you're doing this on purpose. You presenting this isn't as nice as it seems. There's like no empathy here. There's no care. There's no genuine care or concern for other human beings. You really are just looking out for yourself. That was shocking for this person. And I actually think they had to learn that more than once. And some of those experiences involved like more than one person kind of ganging up on them, and all of them colluded together. And they were all coming from this, like the skull energy, the hungry ghost energy. They were all kind of very similar, and therefore ganged up and projected onto this person. It was abusive. It was violent. It was bullying, and shocking. I think really shocking to this person. And I think even in their shock, I don't think this person lashed out or anything. I think that they were shocked, genuinely, like the experience of shock. And again, I'm seeing something catch in the throat chakra where they were just like, holy shit. And I think this person didn't feel safe. And so then there was a stint in their journey where they knew very much that they were in unsafe waters. And this is like gray rocking, but I'm seeing this gray rock where, again, they've mastered like their own self-control. They've mastered, because I'm seeing somebody now like learning how to sail the ship, because you have to learn how to manage the sails. You need to know where the wind is going. And so that's what this person's doing. They learn how to like manage their own sails, and they learn how to manage their own ship. I just got goosebumps. This person didn't even realize that they were doing this, to be honest. I think this person's just so dedicated, and they're so earnest and honest. They're so in like the moment of like, okay, it's kind of like this person won't argue with reality either. Like, this person will just be like, okay, I guess this is what it is. Like, well, I don't want to be around this anymore, so I'll just like maneuver over here. And they still do have this like optimistic view about people, even though they've been kind of seasoned, is what it feels like. They've been weathered, they've been through a lot, but they still have this very beautiful, hopeful spirit that they're going to meet people that are kind and that are like them. And I think that they will. I think that they just had to maneuver out of a real dark, it feels like the middle of the Bermuda Triangle, where everything is confusing and their compass doesn't work. And their compass didn't work because they were surrounded by people who they thought they were mirroring them. But we do that as humans, we mirror, but like it was coming from just this person's just dealt with a lot of fakes and a lot of counterfeit energy. Very good dupes is what I'm getting. So this person couldn't find their bearings and they've gotten out of that and they're just on the way. And I think that people want to cling to this person's energy, but they want to consume it, and it's like this person, like I said, I think this person has like, they're kind of lonely. Okay. I'm hearing an Avril Lavigne song. It's like, can't help it if I space in the days, my eyes tune out the other way. I may switch off and go when I daydream, but in this head my thoughts are deep. Sometimes I can't even speak. Would someone be and not pretend I'm off again in my world? This person has a really rich inner world. Would someone be and not pretend? Like this is the person, I feel like if you asked this person what they wanted more than anything, this person wouldn't want riches. They wouldn't want fineries. They would want just genuine people around. And I'm hearing there's another quote from a song. It's like, and you won't need money because you won't be alone. And this person, like, this is also the person that's like, I do not dream of labor. I do not dream of like a capitalist society. Their dream is like, I just wish to be around genuinely this kind of person. Genuine people who are creative and fun and well-meaning and in good faith. And if I'm around those kind of people, I feel like everything will kind of work out okay. But if I'm around this kind of person that wants to be a fakey fake, everything is not going to be okay. And if I have all the money in the world, it's just going to attract more than this. This person's very wise, actually, about what they genuinely want. So I feel like people have tried to like latch on. And I think this person has a heart for people where they're like, I know what it is to suffer. This person genuinely knows what it is to suffer and has made them soft-hearted. But I think they've had to, right now, they're learning that they have to, in the past, they learned that they needed to protect their energy. I think they had to unmask hidden enemies. That was their karma, and they've done it. And they're on their way out of that. Now that they've unmasked, in particular, hidden enemies, and they're like, holy shit, you're a fake. That happening over and over again. Now they're realizing, well, I have to learn how to protect my energy. And going forward, I need to be able to, in real time, identify what a fake is and what a real thing is and how I'm like putting my energy forward. I need to do that in real time so that I'm not in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle ever again. And I can kind of weed those people out. And this person's not rude and they don't like to be rude, but they need to also learn to find their voice and to say, this doesn't work for me. I think this person has also had experiences where they've been really kind, but certain people just want to latch on. The takers want to take, right? There's the leavers and the takers, as Ishmael says. So the takers just want to take. So, and they're not, have you ever noticed like people who are oriented towards taking, they're not subtle people. They don't pick up on subtlety very well. They don't pick up on nuance. Oh my gosh, Alex just showed me a short today. It was from the speech professor. The speech prof on YouTube. We like to watch his shorts. And it was this old guy that was talking about how he approaches women who have wedding rings on. And he says, yeah, I just walk up there and I'm like, okay, I got to ask you a question. Like, are you married or did you just put that on to scare all of the roaches away? And the speech professor cuts in and is like, don't you know that you're the roach? Don't you know that you're the scenario? If she did put that ring on in order to avoid creeps, do you not know that you're the creep that she was trying to avoid? It was this exact interaction that she was trying to avoid. You're so creepy. It's so weird. It's so gross. Like, I feel like, this person would probably try to be subtle about that, like subtly move away. But I feel like they've had to deal with people that just don't get the hint. I think this person has actually kind of made their energy known of don't come at me if you're fake. Don't come at me if you're selfish. Don't come at me if you're a covert narc. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to be a part of it. But this person is like shiny in some way and people like just want to latch on and they have no respect. And this person's had to deal with people who just have no respect for them or their boundaries or their personal space. And so they've had to just really be willing to say, enough is enough. I see exactly who and what you are. I won't say it to your face, but you have to start speaking the language of subtlety because I am being nice. Okay. It's very much like that. But if you keep coming at me, my words will get clearer. My message will get sharper. You're not going to bully me into submission. Like that's what this person has to kind of say. And they've been around people who are very good at that art of projection of Darvo, defend, attack, reverse, victim, and offender. People wanting to trap this person into some kind of like reactive abuse scenario. This person's kind of seen it all. They've had a lot thrown at them because their energy is very subtle. And like they do pick up on subtle kind of details. This is very like martial arts, and like learning how to move like with the energy. They're capable of that. This person's not a blunt object, and they've had to be more that way and know when to apply that energy and know that they're not mean for doing it. They're so in tune subtly. I promise you that these people that require that, they've blown past, like, I'm not even talking 2 or 3. I'm talking like 15 red flags. They've just blown right past them. And for this person to get like very sharp in their voice. And yeah, so I feel like they've just had to kind of deal with that. It's also that people don't understand that they're not in the same energy that this person is in. And, what I mean by that is like, because this is the Bardo, right? It's like you're passing forward towards. So I think a lot of people waste their time with this person because they want to be associated with them, or they think that, oh, I'm just going to latch onto this person and we're going to go through the gates together. No, because skulls don't go through the gate. And this person's not, you got to be this magical silver dollar to pass through some kind of invisible barrier here. So all of these like skulls, I think they're on their path or on their journey, but they got to go back. They're not going to get through where they think they're going where this person's going, and they're not. I also think there's a lot of like, I want you to do it for me. And these other people, because they try to act on the level with this person or that they've been through something similar. And this person's been fooled by that in the past because they're not judgmental and they they get it, and they wouldn't have any, this is like a genuine person. They would have no reason to doubt, like, why would you lie about that? Kind of a thing. I'm genuinely trying to get to know you. What's your life been like, but it's kind of giving hungry ghost energy. And so I think that certain people waste their own time, like trying to leech off of this person, because they need to come up. They need to do what this person did, but not do what this person did. They need to engage. What this person did is they came from the inside out. They dealt with their life and they came from the inside out. That's what these people need to do. But instead they try to mimic this person's pattern or path or something. And those are people without ears to hear and eyes to see. You get what I'm saying? And I think this person kind of plays a big part in people's karma like that. And it's because they're learning their own karma. That's part of the karma that's being like worked out here. Because this person needs to be able to say where their energy goes. And they need to kind of shirk people off of them that think this person doesn't get a say into where their energy goes. Or it's like, well, if you don't give it to me, then you're not a giving person. And it's like, maybe I'm not giving it to you because I have discernment that is given to me by the Lord above, and I'm not to be just giving my energy to anyone because that's how you grow a fungus. That's how you grow a bacteria. And I won't be doing that. Move away. Move away. That's what this person kind of needs to do. And that's kind of what they need to do before spirit can pour more into them. Anyways, they need to be kind of a trustworthy vessel because everybody's in their own space here. This person did go through a period of anxiety though. But I feel like they're manifesting because, and this is Aries energy, Sun in Aries, because they're like fully becoming themselves more and more, and they're getting more and more comfortable with that. And part of getting comfortable with that too is like knowing that they should be a strong energy. Like they should have a strong flavor of them, and that's, it's going to be for some people and it's not going to be for other people. And that's okay because it gets all of us where we're going, and this person shouldn't be afraid of being in that dance because they're not malintended. I feel like when this person steps into their strength, their abusers try to mislabel this. I just heard misnomer. They try to call it by a different name. They try to say, oh, you're being violent or you're being whatever. And I'm telling you, it's like the most bluntest of objects, or people that are really like sick in the head. They know exactly what they're doing. They try to like bait this person into some kind of, they try to, cause this person some kind of reactive abuse. And they can only really do that because this person is respected. I think people can see that this person is like respectable. They believe this person, they trust this person has a genuineness, they have an authenticity. So people, if their abusers want to try and knock them and they just try to tell people, oh yeah, that person, I think they've reached a part in their journey where if they want to be like, oh, that person's a liar, people are going to be like, no, unless they can try to trap this person into some kind of reactive abuse, where they can frame them into looking like something that they're not, and get people who don't know the full context of the situation and what's going on behind the scenes, because that's what reactive abuse is. It's right. It's like, I flicked you in the face 15 times and we both know that. It's dog whistle abuse, right? We both know that. It was behind the scenes. These people didn't see that. But when I punch you in the face the 16th time and you have the absolute gall to defend yourself, those people are all going to think that you came after me. And they're going to be the ones to abuse you. But I think this person is like kind of beyond that. They're manifesting, they're strong, and And they've exited some kind of dream or some kind of fantasy of something that they thought they wanted. And I think this person's realizing that they actually really like their own company. This person's all about the cups now. I just heard a song lyric. I'm all about July. It's a Taylor Swift song. It's like, I'm all about you. I'm all about July. Maybe it's long story short. Long story short, it was the wrong guy. But this person's like kind of, yeah, like they're about the cups and the comfort of their own. They found their own emotional clarity. Because I feel like this cups, okay, so there's something with water because the karma that they came through, remember, it's like that stormy ocean, it's all black. That doesn't feel like it comes from them. It feels like it comes from something that they're in. A lot of different people with a lot of different emotions, and maybe everybody has an opinion about this person, but it's all coming from that dark space. It feels like scorpionic energy, right? It's all coming from all of these people's own shadow that they project all over this person. I think this person's like a lightning rod for it in some way because they're a mirror, but like I think people feel insecure around this person. And I think a lot of people like to say, you make me feel insecure. And this person does no such thing. This person's just really trying to be their best. And that, by the way, is what the people around are supposed to learn. Just try to be your own best self. And then you won't feel that way. If you want to have high self-esteem, do esteemable things. These people refuse to do esteemable things. And instead they just try to pull everybody else down because they have something wrong in the driver's seat that tells them that that's the answer. And this person is showing a different way. And I feel like that's kind of what they were doing. And this might not even be for their own karmas that they had to experience that. They may literally be like a lightning rod for the divine, a scapegoat. Oh my gosh, I just heard a scapegoat. And that could have been some kind of deal that was worked out. I don't know. But that feels like it was all the emotional turbulence of other people. Other people made this person a scapegoat, their scapegoat, but all of them did it in different ways and like at the same time. And it was turbulent. And it might have made this person feel afraid of water energy, could have been afraid of money, actually. Could have been afraid of other people's emotions, you know? But now the cups energy here, they found their own temperance point. This person is kind of, they had to disentangle themselves from other people's narratives about them where they were intentionally mischaracterized so that other people could continue to get away with their bullshit, basically. Yeah, they've closed the chapter down. And they maybe have become an authority, their own authority. At the very least, it's like, I'm the authority on who I am. And I've learned that people have their own agenda. Like people will make stuff up. This person's also a lot less trustworthy than they were, or not trustworthy. They're a lot less trusting than they were in the past. Because I think this person really took people at face value. Because this person is a person who could be taken at face value. But now they don't do that anymore. When somebody tells them their appraisal of a person, they hold it lightly, you know? And I think that's what they needed to learn. Yeah, the Hierophant. I feel like this person is like really balanced. They have found their freedom from the devil is what I'm getting. I think this person broke free from like the devil. I think they fought the devil and I think they like got away. They made some kind of clear-cut decision. And I feel like this is the universe kind of presiding over this. This is kind of, I feel like, attached to pile number one. Like, I think they were dealing with at least one person, and it could be more than one person, like over time or like all in a group, or I just feel like they really went through it when they were young, and it could be their family even. But this is like come in. There's like been some type of ruling. They've been given their freedom. I also feel like this person could have been somebody could have tried to control this person based on money, trying to make them dependent, but they could have also tried to like ruin their opportunities, ruin their chances, malign their character so that people wouldn't hire them or people wouldn't believe them or people wouldn't. This is a person who should be like promoted. You know, this is a person who should be like leading in some way, shape, or form. And that was like somebody tried to undermine them. And maybe even like a love situation. It could have been a mother. Yeah, they're jealous. This is kind of that classic, like when the mother is jealous of her own daughter kind of energy, or it could be a boss or something. I don't know. But this person's very skillful and they're finding victory with that. And that is karmic. That's some kind of karmic return. I also think it's because I do think in some way, shape, or form, I think this person did the Lord's bidding. Like, I'm not saying that they didn't have their own karmas here, but they might have taken on more than their fair share of the load of something where they're like, I don't know, I'm in this stormy sea. I might as well. You could throw 10 more people at me because I'm in this this shit storm anyways. Like, what's one more person, you know, behind the scenes that I don't know about? They might have like, their soul could have agreed to doing something like that. I don't know, but it just feels like they crossed over. And that reminds me of Eat, Pray, Love, because her word, I can't remember what it is in Italian, but it means let's cross over. And I feel like that's what this person is kind of saying to these people that have clung. It's like, let's cross over. Aren't you sick of being this way? Let's turn this over. Let's flip this fajita over, you know? So yeah, they're getting karma, but it feels like they've been through a lot of karma and they're getting the rewards of that. The consequence, which is another neutral term that a lot of people, we associate that with like getting a spanking or something from our childhood. There's a consequence, you know, but it's neutral. This person's actions have had equal and opposite reaction, and it's boomeranged. And I feel like this person is, and they're still learning because they're more wanting to like learn in real time. Hey, people aren't always what they seem, you know? Okay. I'm going to leave that there. That's pile number 2. I feel for a lot of you, that's probably your own energy because I've been reading your cards for a minute. Yeah, attraversiamo. Attraversiamo. Pathetic Pete. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that was pile number 2. We'll put this up there. So if you're just now joining us, what a time. We're just getting ready to do pile number 3. That might be a sign for you. Or you can go back and watch the other ones that we've already done. Okay. Oh, you're welcome. Lip gloss, compassion. All right. Compassion. I resonate with pile 2. Yeah, I feel like for a lot of you, pile 2 would probably be your own energy. Dang, I really just keep wanting to use this new one. Okay. Hopefully pile number 3 is a good outcome. Well, good morning, light of love. LOL, legit had that convo with Sky Daddy. The hell send me all the narcs. What's one more? Oh my gosh. All right. Crystal, what's going on? What's going on, okay? Sometimes people like talk to their person in the chat or like in the comment section, but just keep in mind that it sounds like you're speaking in first person, and that's the kind of thing that I don't let people speak to me like that. So you got to clear it up. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. Okay. All right. So, boom. If we're ready, let's move on to pile number 3, which is the village. All right. Oh, okay. So, is this person getting karma? We've got child services that fell out from the What's the Tea deck. Kids at risk of being taken or is about to reporting something, neglect or abuse. So this could be happening to this person, but also this person could have like reported something fake, like to get their kids or something. Like this person could have like lied about something, and that's like maybe why they're getting karma. Yeah, this person was like sneaky. Something online. Something about the lovers. Yeah, this could be a parental situation. Okay. Goodbye. Okay, so pile number 3, spirit. Is this person getting karma? Is pile number 3, is this person getting karma? Oh my gosh, effed up over you. Under pressure, and I just literally threw that. Anxiety, decisions, and time is running out. Yo, karmic lesson, spiritual chaos, ego, death, downward spiral, spiritual awakening. Yes. This person is like hot and bothered about something and they're feeling some kind of time crunch. And it may have to do with, oh my gosh, yeah. They've been stubborn here my way. Selfish, stubborn, arrogant, pride, and ego. So I think this may have to do with some kind of child situation. And it could have to do with their actual child. I'm hearing like their adult child. Could be like saying goodbye, over something here, or maybe their adult child has gone through something and they're like under pressure. They got to make some kind of decision in regards of that. Yeah, and it might have to do with a secret. Maybe that their adult child has, or that they have regarding their adult child. It could be that. That could be the person that's like maybe saying goodbye to this person. And actually, I think that adult child is a soulmate. I mean, surprise, surprise. But like, yeah, they're a soulmate. And I feel like spirit might be separating these people out again, so that somebody could have a different perspective on Empress energy, on mothering, on like expansion. It could be so that somebody here has a chance to expand, and it could go either way of like it being the parent or the child here. I think for most it's the parent though. Yeah, there's something here in the past. So this person is torn up about a karmic relationship from the past. Now, this could also be a karmic relationship that has given rise to some kind of child. And they feel like it's going to separate them out, or it has already separated them out from a divine union. And it could have also been the thing, like something here could have stagnated in a divine union, either because of a child or something was stagnant. And so now it's given rise to some kind of karmic complication. Yeah, there's definitely karma being played out here. Somebody was sneaking around, look, the devil. Yeah, some kind of karmic relationship, some kind of karmic attachment. The truth is coming out about that somebody here was like lacking. This also could have to do with money. So again, it feels to do with a child though, like where somebody has to maybe pay out a lot of money, or they're confused. They're confused. Maybe they're also confused as to like why somebody left a group. They're afraid to send some type of message. They need some kind of internal strength. Maybe they left. I don't know. And then there's some kind of secret or shame about why this person left, or yeah, there's some kind of secret or shame that's playing out. This person's like messed up over you. BT, just saying hi. Thank you so much for the super chat. And with the yellow, I feel like it's the solar plexus energy here. They're not feeling very confident. Look, they feel like something's over with the funeral. Schmeg's addiction. It could be that this person likes, look, the reckless, I can't show this card, but like the reckless Schmeg's situation is coming out. Maybe they don't want to give that up. There's, look, twin flames here as well too. Rejected. This person can be rejected by a twin flame because of their behavior. Where's the bayou? Yeah, this person's like coping. Ugh, they're in some kind of spiritual like downward spiral, free for all. They don't know what to do. Havoc. I'm just hearing the word havoc. I also just heard HVAC, so like maybe something's wrong with this person's HVAC system, or like metaphorically something could be wrong with this person's. They could be struggling to like regulate their own temperature or something, because I'm seeing somebody like sweating and like, he's addicted to oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, there's been some type, maybe there's been an interaction with a twin flame where this person came up short is what I'm getting. There's also something here about like this person, they might not be very spiritual, honestly. And they related to a twin flame as like, you're my favorite kind of a thing, but they didn't recognize that this is like some kind of divine relationship. Yeah. Until it was like gone, until there was like this tower. They could have also built something somewhere else. They thought that they were, or they could have thought that they sent a tower towards somebody here. Yeah, they could have brought in some kind of competition or something that caused like an argument, and they thought that they were winning. Very self-absorbed. I don't think this person's very spiritual, to be honest, or like the person that they're dealing with. If it's not them, then it's like there's some type of person that they're dealing with. What would be the karma there? Queen of Wands? They could be dealing with a Queen of Wands. Okay, yeah. They could be dealing with a Queen of Wands. That really like slammed into their space. That's for some of these people. This could be the person that they got pregnant with. I don't know, take this however it resonates, but there is the Queen of Wands here who started some type of argument. This could be also somebody that they tried to throw at someone's face as like competition in order to cause some kind of tower moment, but it boomeranged around. And they are the one that like got the karma here. And now they're in some kind of spiritual free-for-all because they know that it is going to cause an argument. The funny thing is I feel like Spirit's like, but you wanted to cause an argument though. And they're like, yeah, but not this one, because they're on the back foot. They're the one that did wrong. They're the one that got A on their face. So they're really up in their head about, should I send a message or should I not send a message? Yeah, they're really confused. They're trying to observe somebody and it's confusing them all the more because they need to have a certain conversation. They're confused about, I think, like what the emotions are in this situation so that they can come up with a plan. Yeah, this was like, this person, I think, played themselves is what I want to say. And now somebody here has moved away from them and they're like the star energy. And I think it's because this is like some kind of soul connection. It's not materialistic. It's not superficial. But I think this person related to whatever this was as a superficial connection. They were like, oh, that person's really hot. They're my favorite. Oh, I really get along with them in terms of their personality. But I'm going to sneak around. I'm going to play all these games. I'm still going to cavort with other people. And I'm not going to be honest about that. And then there was a repercussion to that. And it started this person's spiritual awakening. So in a way, they're getting karma. But again, karma is like a repercussion of our own actions. That is actually very loving through a certain lens because it allows us to know thyself when we don't know thyself. And this person, that's the karma that they're getting. Whatever ricocheted back, it let them know that their actions were wrong. Their actions were shitty. Their actions were strategic, competitive, selfish. And the tower that they tried to throw at somebody else, and they had no qualms about that, about throwing a tower towards somebody. When it hit them, that's when they were like, oh, it's like that. And, but I don't think this person is very practiced in the art of self-awareness. So they've had to, there's a learning about their actions, but it's their Mars actions. So I think it does have to do with like their schmexual activities and who they sleep with and stuff. Like it's not good. They should be more discerning. They should care if they're sleeping with somebody who is argumentative, competitive, because it's come back to bite them in the ass. I don't think that they knew that. I think that this person thinks that they control people and not the other way around. And I think they learned different. And they're realizing that spirit was trying to offer them the divine cup. I also think this person feels that they've leveled up. I don't know, because I just heard you gotta get up to get down, but it feels like you gotta get down to get up kind of a thing. This person has like all these beautiful feelings that they want to express, but they can't because they've been such a twat in the past. And they've got bad credit. For some, there's like a money issue here because their money has to be going to something else here, to some kind of Queen of Wands. And it's either a Queen of Wands, there's like some type of argument. It could be over custody, but it's like there's some type of argument about, I don't know, something to do with money with the Queen of Wands. And I don't think this Queen of Wands is the twin flame. I think this is somebody else. So it could also be something to do with like maybe they were building a tower with this Queen of Wands and they were doing it to try to make somebody jealous. So they could have like had a house together or and then it's like, well, you owe me half the rent for September, kind of thing. And Spirit was trying to offer this person the higher cup and they're kind of realizing that now. And now they feel like, wait a second, I'm your higher cup. In my right mind, like in my right mind and in my right spirit and in my right heart, I'm your higher cup, but they can't offer it because they betrayed somebody. They broke somebody's heart. So yeah, they're absolutely receiving karma. And there could be some kind of long-term relationship. Something here was supposed to be short-term and it was just to throw in somebody's face. And it's very long-term now because Spirit's like, you don't run shit around here. That's called wisdom. You don't run shit around here. So this person's like learning that and now they're having to be the hermit. So this person's leveling up. It's like a really hard way that this person's leveling up. Because I don't think this person's like rotten to their core, but I think they did something rotten. And I think that they really treated you badly. It's Mars energy. So they're just really self-absorbed, hot and cocky. And they're like, yeah, I'm cocky. And like, I'm going to get with this person who is also doesn't mind being mean to you and we're going to be mean to you and then now they're stuck with this person for the long haul. It feels like maybe there's court stuff and like contracts that they're like kind of bound to and Spirit's like, because you don't control nothing, you don't control anything and you need to be listening to your higher self here. And I also feel like maybe Nurse Jackie, thank you so much for the super chat. You are spot on always. But definitely pile 3 is my situation. Thank you for being awesome. You're welcome. I'm so glad. I also feel like this person, there's some kind of like argument or conflict around marriage. And it's like maybe because these two created life together that they didn't want to create. Maybe this person baby trapped this other person. I don't know. But maybe both of them were caught unawares. Maybe they're both learning the same lesson where it's like, ugh, I didn't really want to be like around you, It caused some kind of like argument over a marriage. And I think it also caused some kind of confusion in this person because they're like, my religion tells me I'm supposed to marry this person over here. It's just that I have no business being with them because they really don't. There's like not a soul connection here. They don't, they're creating karmas like here. And so I feel like this person feels like very alone and they might have to be working really hard in something that doesn't suit them or it's like very monotonous. They dream about being in this Knight of Pentacles energy. Oh my gosh, that's kind of, I just felt really sad. Like this person dreams of being independent. I feel like, yeah, it's like whatever this Tower moment was, it's like all of a sudden this person's not independent. Because I think that was, they had maneuvering room when they felt like they were independent. And now all of a sudden it's like, well, now I got to marry this person because they didn't naturally want to marry this person, you know, and they dream about, I think maybe even starting their own business or like, but they can't because they don't have the room to, because it's like they got something they got to pay for here. It's, yeah, ow. Oh, that was my funny bone, but it's like, it's not funny, right? Like, so it could have been like, they thought something was funny and they're like realizing that it's like, it's not funny. And they're angry at themselves. They thought that they were an emperor energy moving everybody around like they were the pawns on the board. And then just for spirit to be like, you're a pawn too. You're my pawn too. And spirit doesn't treat us like pawns, but I feel like spirit gives this person what they gave. You know, like spirit is like, this is literally not difficult for me to lift you up from your timeline over here and drop you over here, MFer. So get with the program and stop being horrible to people. Yeah, I think this person is watching. They're watching somebody here, like maybe even have to defend themselves against like a lot of other people. They can't interfere. And this person's like having some kind of new beginning, and their intuition is telling them to have this new beginning. This is maybe whoever they like hurt or offended over here, and they feel like really responsible for this situation, and they're feeling like weighted down. This person feels like really weighted down by responsibilities and life, and doesn't feel like this person was wanting to do that or prepared to do that. And I don't think it was in their higher timeline for them to be doing this right now. It's just that they had to go and poke the bear, and they thought that was funny, and spirit was like, I want to see if it's funny. Yeah. And so I feel like there's money issues here. Yeah. And they have to tend to situations. They want to move forward like very quickly. I think they might want something traditional over here, like with this twin flame energy, like especially there was something here really special from the past. They want to go back to a time when it was like sweet, maybe where it was friendly. But somebody here's like not seeing this about them. They can't make themselves known. This person has feelings and they can't make themselves known because of the way they acted in the past, not in the way that they want to. And this person, I think this is the twin flame here. They're not even open to having a conversation. And maybe they don't even see that this person wants to have a conversation, or is like in some Libran energy now where it's like, no, I want to have a relationship with you. So I think that they're a bit pouty. They feel really overtaken by somebody, this Queen of Pentacles energy. This person that I feel like is in their space, is in their home. They give this person a lot. Yeah. They do sneak around on this person. I don't think there's a lot of love here between them. I think there's a lot of cheating on both sides, but they both feel chained to this situation, and they both might really hate each other because their karmic here might also be going through the same thing. Maybe they were both using each other, you know? The Lightheart Alchemist, thank you so much for the super chat. Imagine knowing you're the only one alive because your parents wanted to trap the other. People are weird in good and bad ways. Yeah. Yo. Yeah. There's money issues here of like giving money over, but also there's an issue of like the energy of your relationship, I think, where this person didn't give equally. Or they were trying to get you on like your knees here. The truth is that this is a Five of Pentacles energy. It's like very lacking. This person didn't show up. And there's a secret. There's like some other secret here. What is the other secret? Let me see. It could be that this other person is also cutting this person off. I just get the sense that these two don't like each other. Even if like, it's kind of giving Paul and Morgan. Do you guys know that Fundy couple? Where it's like, they might love each other. I don't know. But I just don't think that they like each other very much. They're always like fighting, but they're very fundamentalist Christian and like, I don't know. It's kind of given that. Yeah, there could be somebody else that's cut this person off. And they don't really. Yeah, I think so. And they don't really have much maybe. And they're grieving that situation. And maybe that's why they want to start some kind of new relationship with you. This person's very disrespectful in the face of like what I want to say is a soulmate thing or a twin flame or whatever. They feel like you are their like wish fulfillment and like their gift and stuff, but like they don't ever choose you. You know, it's like they're so reactionary, this person. It's funny. They're proactive in terms of trying to throw things in your face, and that does not play out for them. and they're proactive in the situations that are ego based, you know. But then when it's about like love or like, you know, trying to bridge this, it's like they are very much on the back foot and they have to be cut off from like this other situation. Yeah, because they're confused about what their options are. I just feel like this person's not very independent in some way. Because, yeah, I feel like this person is like in some way leeching off of somebody else for money, it feels like. Who is that? There's a lot of shame around it. It's a karmic that they've had in multiple past lives, whoever this is. Why are they leeching off of that person? They're the King of Pentacles, whoever this person is. There could be a secret between this person and another person who's married. Yeah. And there could have been an agreement of like some type of payment. This is so out there. This is just for some of you. There could have been an agreement of some type of payment, like in order to keep secret. Yeah, in order to keep secret. Somebody maybe is paying someone for their silence here. Maybe that's not like overtly said, but it's like a covert contract. They both know that that's what's happening. And I do think there's something karmic about that. There's secrets here. Like that, you know, I'm not really even able to get to. And I think that's part of the karma that they're receiving. They're not being given what they want, or they're not being given some kind of sanctuary until they break off that arrangement. And Spirit's going to give them something higher, but they can't see what that is. So this person feels like very victimized. They have to cut off whatever this is that they're like leeching off of. It might be an affair. And they go in and out. It also maybe could be like their parent or something, and they're keeping something a secret from like their parent's partner, but it feels like maybe it's a step parent. So like they have a parent, their parent is married to someone else. Maybe that was like a moneyed arrangement or something. And this person knows something, and so they get kind of like bought is what I'm getting. And that it might not be discussed like overtly, but I feel like they need to blah, blah, blah. They need to stop doing that, or they need to like opt out of that karmic relationship. Something here is actively being withheld from this person because they're in that dynamic. And there's a routine of some kind of competition or fighting, and they don't realize it, but they hold themselves back with that. That's what's keeping themselves like on some kind of shaky ground, because they never fully choose to leave. And so it keeps them weak in some kind of way. They could have thought that was like a divine union, but they only thought that because they were benefiting in some kind of materialistic, selfish way. And because it was giving them what they wanted, and they didn't have to give a lot to that situation. This is kind of a person like that, where they're very selfish. They want to be in that Knight of Wands energy, and anybody who allows them to be in that Knight of Wands energy, very non-committal, in their Mars energy, which is bad for, if this is a male, especially because Mars rules over all men, but Mars is a malefic, and they're supposed to boss up into either the sun or Jupiter. They're supposed to, and if they don't, they're very dangerous. And this person wants to stay in their Mars energy. And the karmic relationship between the two of them, this other person kind of enables this person to stay in their Mars energy. So there's like a co-conspirator, there's like a co-responsibility for the harm this person inflicts well into their adulthood, I'm hearing, on people, because they just insist on staying in their Mars energy in this kind of adolescence. They refuse to grow up. This person like refuses, and they refuse to mature, even in terms of their mind and their outlook. And it's like somehow linked to their self-awareness of the harm that they're causing to other people. They refuse to like look at it square for what it is. They're in some kind of codependent relationship. But you know what? This spiritual like spiral, whatever it is leveling this person up. I'm telling you, this person is actually leveling up very quickly. I feel like it's being enforced. There's some kind of cyclical issue here. This person's like just trapped in this like cyclical issue like from the past. And it has to do with like you and your situation and this other person. And they just, they never make a choice, or they never make a decision. This person's like, they are so defensive about blowing in the wind and not being a force in their own life. Not being a deciding force, or like they just want to blow around and stay very young and like unpredictable. They think that's going to lead them to some kind of victory. In some way, they confuse that with being a King of Pentacles. In some way, they confuse that with being like noble or like a pure energy, or they're true to themselves. This is somebody who glorifies their Knight of Wands energy. They glorify their lust. They glorify their craving. They glorify that. They spiritualize it, and they say that it's a higher impulse than it is. They're delusional. This person kind of keeps themselves in a holding pattern, but they're doing it. Spirit's not holding. They're showing me the Hangman. And I think this person's like, well, I'm in the Hangman. I need to, no, I feel like this person knows the truth about this. I feel like it's been shown to them many times that they're in a harmful energy that hurts multiple people, and they need to boss up into their sun energy. And they're not doing that. They just refuse to do that. And they do feel shame about it. And and it has to do with a family. And I think it's a broken family. This is a person who might have fathered someone's child who is being raised by another man who believes that to be their child. This is kind of the level for some of you. But it also could just be like a separation out from their family, you know, where they feel like you're their family. They know that they're also like not living up to their families. Yeah, they're very defensive. This person's very defensive. And their whole life is that way. They have to defend themselves. But they won't ever do right. I just heard a song. Baby, I'ma do right. You can or you can't. Be a man, man. No more. Baby, I'ma do right. Is that 3LW? I think so. The Sun card came out, which is yes. So I don't know if Spirit was like, yes, that's 3LW. But Spirit's like, yes, something needs to change. I feel like this person, Spirit is just really saying like something needs to change. You need to be the emperor. You need to make change here. You need to be the deciding factor in your own life. And that's how you're going to have some kind of new beginning. And that's how you're going to get stability. And he has to break away from some kind of, there's somebody here who has like wealth, and it is from their past, and it's a fantasy. There's some kind of delusion or fantasy. Maybe it's a shared delusion or fantasy that these people are in. It just encourages both of these people to come up short in their own lives. There's a real strong mirroring energy between, I think, this guy and like whoever he's messed around with. They're like the same person, and it's not a great one. And they both just continue to come up short in the lives that they're supposed to be living, where they're supposed to be really applying themselves and actually working out their karmas. They just don't show up, but they pretend that they show up. And they show up, they pretend like they're offering things, and then they'll say that they're sorry. And but it's just, they keep things hidden. They just keep things hidden. And they got to see that there's strategy in this. I also think this person just doesn't acknowledge that there is strategy in this. Yeah, it's like there's something here that's like already made. It's not for him. And if he goes in for it, that's a karmic decision. And he's got to build himself. Is kind of what I'm getting. There's no getting around that. Or this could be a she. Take that however resonates. But yeah, this person's definitely getting karma. It has to do with a child. Oh my gosh. This is, again, so specific. But for some of you, it's like they are a friend that like comes around to see like their kid. Ugh. But I also think that there's something here to do with like sustenance and like provision and not getting enough. Maybe keeping a secret from a group of people. There's some type of blockage here. Okay, this, like, only take what resonates for this pile, because we've been, like, out on a limb. Somebody here needs, like, answers or information. But this person has just been continually manipulative and possibly worked with someone else in order to do that. And the truth is coming out about it. And that could be, like, having been done to this person as well. They could have done that to somebody, but also it's been done to them. Yeah, there's something here about the truth. What is the truth? The truth is that this person's the emperor, but they're like refusing to take responsibility. They got to leave something. This person just has to leave something, and they know it. Okay. I feel like I want something else here, but hair on stilts. I'm getting really tired of you, broken promises. Oh my gosh. She does have a little lisp though. It's cute. Like unknown caller. Pictures, regret, hurting. It's like this person has a lot of regrets, but they just kind of sit in their regrets. Okay. What else do you want to say about this person's karma, Spirit? Hurting. Mind games. Immature, testing you, analyzing you. They really hurt people by being immature. Inferno. Chaos, job loss, everything crumbling. I'm getting that everything is crumbling. It feels like this person is having to be dependent on somebody. Envy. Haters, spiteful, jealousy. Ashamed, backfired, got caught, egg on their face. Yeah. This person could have just been very envious, or they involved with somebody who's very envious. And now they're determined and they're still holding on, but they refuse to do anything about it. Red flags, signs, cheating, and deception. I do think this person is a cheater. And I think that they're like a deceiver. And because of that, I think that might be getting found out. And that could be getting found out in a job arena too. That this person has like cheated or lied about their credentials or their qualifications or something. This person might be planning on popping up, but what's that got to do with the karma? Oh, temptation, always busy, keeping you waiting. This person just always keeps you waiting. They just never, they're at rock bottom, but it's because I feel like this person was given like a long runway to take control of their life back, and they didn't do it. This person needs to like, oh, okay, I'm getting it. They needed, their karma is that they're responsible for themselves. That's their spiritual lesson that they have to learn here. They're responsible for themselves. They're responsible for their own freedom, independence, and making themselves happy. And I'm not saying it happens overnight. And I think this person would have to, like in the Pentacles arena, one foot in front of the other, but they refuse to even start doing it because it won't happen overnight. So instead, they glorify some kind of fool energy, and they tell themselves that that's spiritual. They tell themselves that it's something other than what it is. And they have to learn that they need to take control back. They need to make a decision. They need to have a plan, any plan. And they just don't do that. And so now everything's crumbling around them. But it feels like this person was given an enormous amount of time to get going, because Spirit knows that it's like hard for this person. This person could have people that are dependent on them with the village. Oh my gosh, I'm hearing it again. I'm getting really tired of your broken promises. Looking at your pager, seeing different numbers and numbers. Remember pagers? Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to pull. I don't know why this feels like there's a lingering energy here. Like an aftertaste. Something just like lingers on and on. I feel like they could be watching you be successful they're watching. I feel like this person could just be watching somebody be successful around them. It doesn't have to be you. And they're just maybe feeling like very jealous. They secretly want to move away from something, but they're just really codependent is what I'm getting. They could be kind of gaming something out in their mind, and they need like the wind to be in their sails. They need the wind to be blowing in the right direction, and they're kind of waiting for that. And I'm hearing like jump in the net will appear, but that's really hard for this person. Yeah, this person is subservient to someone, but this doesn't feel like they were born that way. It feels like this person did some karmic stuff that got them that way. Yeah, I feel like there was some kind of message. It like some kind of message or something very quick. It could have been this sexual energy turned on a dime, and it just handed somebody like strength. And I think this person, there's some kind of cope in their mind where they tell themselves that they want to be there because the truth is so painful that they don't want to be there, and that they did something stupid, and that they got themselves caught in their own net, and that they don't know how to get out. That's what's actually happening. This is like Stockholm syndrome, or this is when you fall in love with your captor. It's denial is what it is. It's denial. And maybe that's like the confusion around the Hierophant energy, but it's just denial with this person. They don't actually love this person, and this person doesn't actually love them. I feel like they're kind of stuck. There's some kind of karma. Whoever they jumped in with also is going through some kind of karma that they have to work out, like, because these are karmics to each other, and it's like they really want to get away from each other. Like on a soul level, they're ashamed to be with each other. They're ashamed. Like this is a bad situation to have been involved with. But it's like because of there is some type of trauma, the shock, there's like a cope here in the mind of the fantasy or the story that each one of them tells themselves, and maybe the story that they tell, maybe they say that they're soulmates or that this was fate or whatever. This was a stupid decision or a series of stupid decisions. That's it. No, it wasn't fate. Neither of these people needed to do this. They absolutely had different timelines that they could have and should have gone down. That was what they were supposed to do. They chose, both of them chose in some kind of Mars energy that maybe had to do with envy, competition, selfishness, lust. They chose to jump in with each other in some kind of way that they absolutely knew from the beginning that they should not have done. And now one or both of them is absolutely feeling trapped and they can't get away. So instead they confuse themselves and say, this was meant to be, or this is love. And I'm confused about who I'm supposed to be with or who I'm supposed to marry. Don't be. Don't be. This is why it pays off to just be like upright in your energy. You don't get confused like this because they don't really like each other, these two. And it is kind of cosmically shameful that they're involved with each other in this kind of way and that they've done what they've done. And they know that. They feel that on some kind of level. And that's why there's secrets here. That's why they're keeping something a secret, or they're kind of, and it could be because maybe this person that they have, I don't know, is dependent on somebody else. It feels like maybe neither one of these people makes their own money, or like, doesn't want to be cut off from somewhere. They don't want the gravy train to stop. Yes, I feel like that's confirmation here. Yes, because they've got a lot of eggs in a certain basket. And so they're very defensive. And I think they've got to be seen as smaller than what they are in order to stay on this gravy train. And they're resentful of that. So somebody here has got to be seen as smaller than they are in order, and they're resentful and they know that something needs to change. There's somebody here's like, just, there's a lot of shame, and it's like being like, something here's like a cycle, and they have to hide who they really are. It feels like they have to hide who they really are. And that might be like they're a parent of a child or something, because something here should not, and I can't stress this enough, should not have happened. And both of these people know it. This was not fated. They really could have just been responsible for their own life and their own happiness and their own direction. But I think there's something here. It's like, I was just at the whim of fate. No, you're not. And no, you weren't. There's some hard truth that these people cannot accept about their own responsibility for the mess that they have made. Anyway. Pile 1 and pile 3 ganged up against me. They are stuck with pile 1 now. Oh my gosh, thank you for saying that. That absolutely could be a thing. Pile number 1 and pile number 3 could like have worked together. Remember in pile number 1, I said, oh, there's another person over here. And they were represented by the moon. And that's some kind of secret energy. Somebody secretly being involved with that pile number 1 energy, wearing a mask, pretending to be your friend or pretending to be like positive or something. This absolutely could be that person. Yeah. That's my situation too. Yeah. Yeah. And it was probably your karma. Like if you're the pile number 2 person, you had to kind of unmask these people and realize like, whoa, you're a hidden enemy. And it's because they're benefiting from you in some way. Or they want to be like you. It's envy. It's envy. Okay. I think I'm gonna leave that there. They're watching you too. They're watching you. But I feel like there's somebody, okay, wait, I guess we're not done with this, because there's somebody watching them on the internet. Like, I think they could be watching you, or they could be looking up certain things or looking at certain pictures. Somebody here's like putting something together, I think. And it could be this emperor that's an actual emperor. And is like, wait, is it or isn't it? Like, They're like kind of like, what's going on here? Yeah, but this person's not made a decision yet. They've not made a move yet. And that could be what I'm getting of like job loss or something, where like somebody here is like, should I or shouldn't I? They're seeing something and they don't know if somebody's going independent or if it's a betrayal. They don't know. Oh yeah, they don't know. It could have to do with a child here. They're like, they don't know. They're not sure. They're seeing something from a different light though. They're watching somebody here. Again, maybe looking at a child, looking at pictures of that, or like, I'm kind of getting like Facebook, you know, they're looking at who they're keeping in contact with or something over their shoulder. I'm saying, it doesn't have to be that though. It could be that they're looking for other jobs or something. I feel like this person is being observed by an actual emperor who is starting to feel defensive, but is starting to maybe see something here clearly, that there's been some kind of sneaking around. The Bayou, we were wondering where you are. I'm late on pile number 1 now. It's very helpful. Well, we noticed that you were gone. You were missed. Okay. Somebody stole some art, maybe. Yeah. Okay. So I think that is like the end of it for pile number 3. That little bit just wanted to come out. Oh yeah. And I think, okay, sorry. This is kind of trickling out. I feel like that emperor is also now having some kind of like spiritual awakening, some kind of ego death, something kind of like some kind of, and they're feeling under pressure. They are, they could have set a trap for this person too. They could have set some kind of trap to kind of see if they take the bait or see what they do. There could be that being set up right now or going on or something here. Ooh, that got very interesting. Yeah. Or to try to read their feelings about something. They could be giving like a false equivalent, I'm hearing, or like some kind of false scenario. Only take what resonates for pile number 3 because some of that got like way, I think for some, it's just that there's something going on with a child, like custody battle or something, or a child is like saying goodbye to this person, or like now that they're an adult, there could be just something kind of regular going on with like child stuff. And somehow that's this person's karma because they need, it's still something to do with like they need to take control of their own life, or yeah, it's up to them to take control of their own life or something. Okay, now I'm really done. I keep hearing that song. I'm getting really tired of you, booking promises, looking at your pages, seeing different numbers and numbers. Call you on your cell, you're hanging with the fellas, hanging with my girls, you always getting jealous. I can't believe I still know that song. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is a fun question. While I'm setting up for automatic memory medium says, okay, sorry to ask again, but I want to know. Oh, you're asking me, but I want to know for other people. Is there a card in the tarot that triggers you whenever you see it for whatever reason? I saw a TikTok about it, and for me, it's the 4 of Cups. I hate that card. I don't think that there is one for me. I mean, besides like the 5 of Swords and 7 of Swords. Probably the 5 of Swords, where I'm just like, it's always bad. Oh, Emperor is his undercover love. That could also be the thing here too, where maybe it's like a DL situation and they're like paying to keep it quiet or something. Because remember I was saying there's some type of like, be quiet about it. Yeah. The Emperor is the husband of pile 3. Interesting. That could also be the case as well. Okay. For me, 7 of Swords, all the 3s, 4 of Pentacles for me. Okay, this is very fascinating. All right, so we're going to do some general messages here. Second, we're just going to compassion this space. Pile number 3 was like a Days of Our Lives episode. That's a soap opera. I don't think it's still on. Well, maybe it is. I don't know. Those things go on for like 20 years. But, whew. King of Wands reversed. Or Death and Justice reverse. Oh, they got married. So he can't testify against them. Yo. Stranger than fiction, my dad used to say. Oh my gosh. Yeah. King of Swords, that guy can F right off. I can't necessarily see any card as just bad and triggering. 10 of Cups is not always necessarily good and can be triggering for someone. There you go. Oh. The High Priestess is the mistress for me if it comes out in a love reading. Oh, yeah, I can see that. Coercive couple. Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh, that coercive couple that comes up every now and again sounds like pile 1 from your last reading. Or that could be like pile number 1 and pile number 3. I'm getting really tired of you, but can promises. Sorry. Okay. Oh my. Oh my. Okay, let me say this. Angels of the New Earth. Hi, hon, you've been reading my story for a little bit on your other readings. He still sleeps in my bed and won't tell me honestly that he's with somebody else. I just need to know. But like, look at the energy that you're already in because you feel like he won't tell you honestly. Like, that's kind of a big data point, you know? that you can't trust him to, or like, is he just outright refusing to be honest? He's like, I'm not going to tell you. Like, that's none of your business, you know? Like, I don't know. I feel like that's a red flag. Yeah. Are you going to read for us after the general messages? Oh, do you want me to read for you? Because I potentially could. We'll see. Was today shorter, or am I feel like today was a little shorter. I think it was piling the, huh?
It's not like one of your longer readings, but it's not like super short or anything.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Okay. So let's just do a general message. We got to say goodbye to the bunny butt soon. Gonna have to go into storage for next year. But bunny butt, bunny 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 butt, bunny butt, bunny 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 butt. Have you explained this to people where you're like, I don't know, I'm just like all about rabbits right now in a way that I can't describe. Okay. It seems like the lives are usually much longer. Yeah. Aw. Okay. All right. So spirit, general messages. So it doesn't have to have anything to do with the reading, spirit, but what do you want to say to us? What do you want to say to us? Father, talent for creating and supporting life, positive guiding light within a tribal unit. I feel like, okay, and then the shadow attribute is dictatorial control, abuse of authority. I feel like Spirit just wants to remind you that you are this positive guiding light. You have this like talent, like kind of a knack for just creating and supporting life. And I feel like Spirit is just wanting you to trust that. And I feel like you've been brought into situations where you're not meant to like actively challenge and oppose, although maybe in certain circumstances, like if somebody's like lying or saying like a false philosophy or something, and you catch like something, you're meant to like kind of iron out the kinks in it. But yeah, I feel like you've had to kind of deal with the shadow attribute in people, dictatorial control and abusive authority. That might be part of like your karmas, but part of that is so that you can see who you are, that you do just have this like natural knack. For some of you, I feel like you've been held back in life, actually. Like you've not been given certain positions because people are like, yeah, king. This has to do with like, liberation. But yeah, I feel like some of you have been held back because people are intimidated by you. It's kind of like, well, if I give you a raise, then are you going to rival me for the next promotion that now my boss is going to have to choose between me and you? Or am I going to promote the person that I feel like I can kind of win out over, you know, that kind of thing. But I just feel like you have star family here. I just feel like Spirit is like just encouraging you. Being very loving towards you right now. Yeah, king, enlightened, benevolent leadership, benefiting those in your charge. Shadow attribute, excessive feelings of entitlement, rulership without restraint. I feel like that's kind of echoing this kind of, I'm seeing the Two of Pentacles again. Like, I feel like you've played an important role in certain people's life and existence of like who is who and what is what, discernment, people having to learn how to discern and parse through like genuine leadership energy and like leadership versus authority. Because I feel like you radiate leadership. Like you naturally radiate some kind of leadership, but you might not always be in a position of authority. And, you know, so it's like, I don't know, what is that? But you've played some kind of vital role in this, in a network. And it has to do with the language, because it could be that, people here are very good with their words, like very slick with their words. And so it's hard to kind of tell the difference, but you've served, again, I'm hearing that word scapegoat, but I'm also hearing like lightning rod. Oh, look, hedonist came out in the reverse. Pursues pleasures to the detriment of health, indulges at the expense of others. And then mediator, negotiating with an ulterior motive or hidden agenda, either personally or professionally. I feel like this is who you're dealing with. And for some, this could have been in a romantic relationship. They had some kind of ulterior motive, or this is like a third party that's like rivaled you. Or it could be somebody like at work or something. And then we have relying on luck rather than hard work. Yeah. So I feel like you've just been around people like this. And it's assisted you in actually like bossing up really strongly. Dedication to transcending physical limits, including handicaps, development of personal willpower, and strength of spirit. The strength of spirit is really standing out to me. I feel like you've developed some kind of strength of spirit. And yeah. I think that you've also had to deal with obsessive passion and self-destructive devotion from other people. Or you've had to confront that in yourself. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Anything else, Spirit? I'm getting really tired of you, but I'm sorry. We're all going to be singing that probably for this entire week. Okay. Anything else you want to say, Spirit? Happiness and forgiveness. I'm aware that being happy means I'm on the right path. I acknowledge that harboring resentment blocks the flow of love. Purpose and empathy. I'm open to seeing both sides of a situation. Purpose. I know what I am here to do. Okay, so I feel like happiness is like your purpose. I understand that a mistake is only an opportunity to learn. So maybe you feel like you've messed up in the past here. Yeah. Let's see what about this forgiveness. I'm open to seeing both sides of a situation. What? Oh. Okay, so this is coming through for a person. Somebody here is like really actually doing the work. And they're sad and they're like depressed. And Spirit's trying to kind of like shine a lantern here. Maybe this is you. Maybe this is coming in. Maybe some of you are trying to punish yourself for what you've done. Let me just see. Dang. Okay, so there is a situation here, and only take this if it resonates for you, but there is a situation here where it's like there are soulmates here. This can absolutely be remedied. There was an imbalance of who was like giving in the past, who was doing what in the past, but somebody's on like the track to redemption is what I'm getting. They're actually putting in the work, and they're sad that like something here has been like really blocked off. Spirit's not rushing you into anything, but Spirit is just kind of showing you the other side of it, that somebody here, and again, how do you know if this is your message? Oh, the Lovers. So you probably feel that this is like a soulmate. Okay, oh no. The High Priestess came out. Somebody said that this is like the other woman. And then the Five of Pentacles right after that. So for some of you, it definitely is. The truth. Yeah. So like the truth about like the other woman, or the truth about coming up short, or being morally not up to snuff, or somebody here is like coming back maybe with the truth in order to get like forgiveness, and they're wanting to right the wrongs here, and they're wanting to give to the situation because it feels like they just took. Somebody here just, and I'm hearing they took off. They could have just taken from you and then like took off. And I think they actually genuinely want to right their wrongs. And I'm hearing there's an Ingram Hill song. It's like, I won't hurt you, that man is gone. Somebody here, it feels like a masculine energy, but take it how it resonates. He's dealing with himself. He's like, I'm dealing with that man. You shouldn't have to deal with that man. He's dangerous. I'm dealing with that man. I won't hurt you. That man is gone. It's over with. It's done. That cycle between us is done. I'm making sure of it. And this person is really actually putting in the work, and they're showing up on a routine basis. I feel like maybe something's like a slog or whatever. They're really repentant. Like this person feels like genuinely bad about a third party situation in the past, and maybe even a child, and being manipulative. Somebody here is like, I don't think they've communicated this yet, but somebody here really is like being honest with themselves about doing that, because they want to take responsibility. They want to turn a corner in their soul. And I think for some of you, it's like these are the two paths that are open to somebody here. And I think Spirit just wants you to keep an open mind about like, I'm open to seeing both sides of a situation. Like it could still go either way. So, you know, it could be that this person actually does remedy themselves, which is what we're like kind of meant to do. Blame. I accept responsibility for my, well, yeah, somebody here does need to accept responsibility. Yeah, patience here. Accept responsibility for a failure. I understand that a mistake is only an opportunity to learn. Because somebody just needs to like accept responsibility. Yeah, there's something here about like accepting responsibility and blame. I feel like somebody didn't accept responsibility, and so somebody else had to be like, no, you did this to me. But if they had accepted responsibility, somebody here wouldn't have had to like place that blame upon them, because they would have already taken responsibility for themselves. And so I think this is the other side of it. Like whoever that is, it's like, well, I don't like being blamed. And it's like, if you don't like being blamed, you can sit there and say like, there's one side of that where it's entitlement, where it's like, I deserve to do bad things and then never get called out for it. And then there's another side of it where it's like, if I don't want to be blamed, I have to learn how to take responsibility when I do wrong. I just heard, no more, baby, I'ma do right. Deborah, thank you so much for the super chat. Good luck. And I feel like this patience, it's like this person needs to have like kind of patience with themselves, but and trust that they can overcome adversity. I think that it could kind of go either way. And well, let me see. Like if you've been like hurt by this person, I still think that you're being protected. I think some of you are going to be shocked because somebody's going to actually hand you something of substance and you're not going to know what to do with it. They could tell you that they broke up with somebody. They saw that person's true colors. That they're independent. That they are fighting off this like devil energy. And that they want a reunion. Somebody here may literally come back and say that. They might do that. And it's like a Two of Cups energy. They want to send a message about that. And move forward. And I think maybe have something like kind of traditional. There's a lot of strength behind it. And they see that you're defensive against the Knight of Wands, and this person, when they come back to you, if this person's healed, they wouldn't have it any other way because you should be defensive against the Knight of Wands. And they need to make sure they're not a Knight of Wands. I do feel like Spirit has given you some kind of information that you'll know if this person's lying. You'll know if the message is the truth. How are you supposed to know? That was 20 years ago. He better get the whole hell out of my face. Because I feel like, yeah, okay, how are you? Oh boy. They'll come back to you independent, fully independent. They don't need, if they need anything from you, yeah, I don't know. This is, I don't know. Spirit, I don't know. Denial. I acknowledge my fear, but I replace it with the insight of awareness. Denial about what? Imagination. I don't like this. Why don't I like this message? I'm highly resistant to this. Patience. I accept that everything happens in divine order. I feel like Spirit's just saying, like, I got a plan. Judgment. Denial and surrender. Okay, this is interesting. Self-esteem. Okay, there's like some kind of judgment energy, unearthing. I feel like Spirit wants you to ponder the difference between denial and surrender. I can release my need to control. I don't get this. I think it's because I'm highly resistant to like just letting this kind of flow. Because I also don't want to deliver a message that's going to make somebody confused and like maybe even put themselves in harm's way. Because I can tell that this person didn't do right. Baby, I'ma do right. Yeah, so peace and perseverance. I feel like there's something here about like releasing the need to control peace versus perseverance. I feel like maybe Spirit's saying somebody's trying to control peace by like persevering. And that's, I think, part of like the issue I'm taking with this of like, well, you've been persevering. Like, and that's what you're kind of supposed to be doing here. And it's hard to release and like surrender. I don't know. I'm just going to get another deck and just ask if the Spirit can clear it up once more, and then I'm just going to leave that alone. Nine of Flames. Okay, interesting. This is why I'm confused. I feel like this is coming from somebody who hurt you in the past. And it's like a Regina George kind of figure. So that could be somebody that you dealt with directly, male or female. Or this could be even somebody this could be the third party, kind of like Regina George. Like, Katie, tell him his hair looks sexy, push back. That kind of shit, you know? It could be that person, and they got some type of karma here, and they're very defensive about having been Regina George in the past. And I think that was them bringing that message forward, and I just didn't quite catch it. And they were maybe even like saying that it was like a divine message. I feel like this person's seeing you, maybe having teamwork, maybe having cooperation, building something in accordance with Spirit. Feels very divinely guided, whatever this is. This person's kind of watching I just heard in horror. They are wanting to, they're wanting to move forward towards that because they do want to confuse you. Okay, there we go. They do want to confuse you. Okay, so I think what I was confused about with that message is that I thought that was coming from spirit. I thought that was a message from spirit. Really, that was a message from Regina George. Which, everybody is like God. God moves through everybody. I feel like this person is having some type of karmic repercussion. In part, they're like restricted in some way where they need to be healing and they're kind of held back. They're receiving their karmic repercussion. They're seeing you like move on. This person wants to be a part of it. I think they're afraid that maybe somebody that they took from you or interfered with is looking at like, oh shit, that was the better path over there. Like that was the better person. So there's karma maybe playing out between those two people. How confusing. This seems like a manipulative person. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like all of a sudden her face looked really red and like she was crying because she got found out. She got like seen. She was trying to maybe pass. Okay. She was trying to pass something off as a divine message. This reminds me of that reading about the third party. Remember, she came to me. Her energy was very nondescript. And then my guides were like, Jessica, was she vague or was she cloaking her energy? And I didn't know. So it like made me feel like I was trying to help her. She just cloaked her energy again in order to try and make it seem like it was a divine message. But this is like lying by omission because remember I said like, okay, Spirit, what messages do you have? And then she's like, well, I have a message to bring through, but then didn't disclose that it was from her. So watch for that. Watch for a message that is like, it's not disclosed like who it's from. I feel it could be from this like person. This is, because they want to get you like in your head. They want to try to like tip fate in their direction. But this person, underlying issues are still the same. This is a very controlling person. They also, they got control over somebody in the past and they want to have control. They want to maintain control over, I'm hearing a divine masculine. They want to maintain control over divine masculine. I think it freaks them out that you're closing the door on this person because, just like in that other message, remember I saw him like in a desolate area where everything was being leached out and she was trying to leech off of him. Okay. That kind of reminds me of pile 3 where it's like, somebody's leeching off of somebody, leeching off of somebody. These could be people with magical capability. I mean, you don't think that people are out here doing weird shit like this, but some people are. So, I don't know. Just take that however resonates for you. Yeah, they're seeing something. Something is being seen clearly, and they're still trying to like delude, to try to keep somebody here. And it could be this masculine. Yeah, who sees like maybe you as a wish fulfillment, who sees, at the very least, he sees distance from this like Regina George lady as wish fulfillment. She's been very wounded by that. She's pissed. She's very pissed off. She likes seeing you defeated and like weak and not having the truth about yourself. She could have spread a lot of lies about you. And now it also could be other people in a group are also watching you, but they're all seeing you as like kind of not knowing the truth about what's going on behind your back. She is like, keep seeing, whenever I look at her face, I keep seeing it's like the red of like crying and puffiness, but it's angry tears. It's anger. It's like ego. It's, it is embarrassment, but it's embarrassment of like her ego and it's like anger and embarrassment because she's watching somebody here have a lot of love for you after they convince this person to like hurt you in some way, betray you really bad too. And now I feel like there's karma going on in this situation and it has to do with money and resources. Some kind of tower that was built here has like crumbled and is falling down. She's pissed about it. There could have been a public humiliation thing as well about like the secrecy of the way that these two started out or like the secrecy of their union. Something here could have like fallen down. I feel like there's an elaborate lie that was constructed very carefully and it could be to conceal the reality of like the way that these two people, this is the person who's trying to play the victim here too. And you're safe. I feel like that's also why this person's mad is because you're safe and you're out of it. And you also do have like protective energy around you. This could be spirit guides. They want to hurt you. This person wants to hurt you. Ugh. They had me like in my head. It didn't make sense. Like the reading didn't feel authentic. The energy that was coming through, it was like they were throwing around words like forgiveness. But this is a person who does that. I feel like you would know who this person is because this person does that where they're like, oh, forgive. But like, they don't really know like the definition of forgiveness. And this person would never forgive. They would not care, but they would not care because they like to play with people. They don't have genuine like emotions. They don't get actually hurt by anything. Everything is just kind of like a sword fight to this person. I don't know. There's judgment about some kind of money. There's also judgment because she's not the favorite. There's judgment because you've been revealed as the Empress. Oh my gosh, this masculine here is like just secretly watching you. And he also might have other ladies here on the side or whatever. Yeah. Some kind of secret online message. That he hopes goes somewhere. She sees something here. And I think she's intuitive. She sees the writing on the wall is what I'm getting. And it's making her like fumed. And I think she thinks herself like a Persephone. She's like, she feels victimized. She's like, oh, he took me down. No. She, again, I said this in one of the readings where it's like, these people no doubt have gone through turmoil, but it's like turmoil that they created. Because the writing has like been on the wall. She intentionally interfered in another situation to try to get a victory. And this is like somebody who has a very superficial, it just has to do with like, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all. But they don't actually mean who's the fairest, because there ain't nothing fair about this energy. And I mean like in a justice card kind of way. This is not a fair person. They're not a kind person. But they just want to appear as such. They also like to keep this man scared. Scared of what? Scared of like being not enough. Scared of other men. Yeah, scared of everything that they built, like falling down, but I feel like it already did. I just heard London Bridges falling down, falling down, falling down. It feels like it was like at night too. Something, so that might be a metaphor here. And he feels responsible for it. But it's because he involved with her. It's not because he didn't do enough for her. She likes to keep him in a state of like, you didn't do enough for me and that's why stuff's going wrong. All that's bullshit. It's because he involved with her in the first place, and I just feel like her karma is ick. He's having to defend himself because he thought she was a victory. She liked that. She wanted a Queen of Pentacles position, and that's what changed their fate lines, and it's just playing out. That's it. That's just, yeah, there's a death energy here. And this is just the last hoorah. This is them clinging to some kind of image or trying to get something back, and somehow, some way, they know it's like her in particular knows it's from you. He does too. He wants to come back and play Romeo. But I would really question how authentic that is, because he has fully explored this other path with this other person, fully giving them everything that he was supposed to give to you or to somebody else or just keep for himself. He lavished this person as if she was the queen. He lavished this person as if she was the victory, as if she was just the greatest thing. And really, she is a gold painted turd. And he was kissing all over it like, oh gosh, and then treating you like shit, or just like not, yeah, you were getting treated like shit. She is getting treated like she's gold when she's a gold painted turd. And that's what she wanted. And now the time is up, and having partnered with a turd is playing out the way you think it would. It's not getting you, it's getting you where it should get you, which is not far. And now he's like, oh, my love, I must go back to my love. But really, these are two very superficial people that are foolish, that went in for something very superficial and some kind of knee-jerk energy. And they're now seeing that differently, which is to say, seeing it in the light of day, seeing their folly, seeing that they're immature. These could be people that think that they're better than everybody else because they've managed to lie, steal, and cheat. It's a functioning dysfunction. They could have left something. This person could have left troubled waters. And they did it in this foolish, flippant energy, but they needed to actually, they're the trouble. They're the turbulence in the waters. So they needed to fix that. And I just heard, wherever you go, you take yourself. And now this person is stuck. They're really stuck thinking about they could have been a King of Pentacles, for real. Or that they were that, or that they had that, and they let it go because they're not noble. This person's not actually noble. Gold painted turd. Yeah. Ugh, there's a mesmerized. These people were just, this is very much ego. They're just, it's oh my God, you're so great. Oh my God, no, you're so great. Oh my God, no, you're so great. Oh my God, no, you're so great. Meanwhile, they are what they are. This was the temptation by the devil, and all this was Knight of Wands energy. But they both of them, I think, made this out to seem like something. But here's the thing that I want to say to these people. Baby, don't be confused. Don't be confused. They're confusing themselves and they're confusing other people, and there's karmic repercussion to this, and I feel like it's playing out. All right. Oh my gosh, prostitute. Accentuates the challenge. Okay, so the light attribute is accentuates the challenge of surviving without negotiating the power of your spirit. I feel like that's you. And I feel like that was what these people needed to do. But if both of them did that, they would never have involved with each other because they both have just different paths. And this was just a cheap energy. Cheap thrill is what I just heard, cheap thrills. Shadow attribute places material considerations and security above self-empowerment. So they're not self-empowered now. Destroyer. Something's come in to destroy this. This feels like very spirit. It feels like spirit. Look, and somebody here, and it feels like that Regina George character, whether this was the person you were involved with or whether this was a third party, intoxication with destructive power, destroying others' dreams or potential. And I feel like you are in the light energy of this where you are releasing what is potentially destructive and preparing for new life. And don't fall for this person's like bullshit. Also, this person can cloak their energy through like the ethers, but like face to face, I feel like you know who this person is. Like you know what they look like and you also like know who they are, you know? So... okay. What do you think? Should we read a little bit from the book? I wasn't really... do we want to? Does anybody want to do that? Oh my God, I love your skirt. Where'd you get it? Vintage. I love it. That is the most hideous thing I've ever seen. Yo. Yeah, it sounds like that is exactly what's happening. RSPY. Yes, whatever feels right for Jess. Okay, let me just take a gander at what maybe... hold on here. Don't mind me. Okay. We could read about the abusive mentality. Like, okay, I'm just going to read through the myths. So, like, I'm not going to read into them. So we'll do the myths about abusers and then we'll do the realities of about abusers. How about that? Okay. So there's a lot of myths, and like I said, I'm just going to list them out. Okay, myth number 1. He was abused as a child and needs therapy for it. Maybe I'll just read a little bit of these. The partners of my clients commonly believe that the roots of a man's abusiveness can be found in mistreatment that he suffered himself, and many professionals share the same misconception. I hear explanations along the lines of, he calls me all those horrible things because that is what his mother used to do to him. His father used to get angry at him and beat him with the belt, so now if I get angry at all, he just freaks out and starts throwing things around the house. He says it's because deep down he's scared of my anger. His stepmother was a witch. I've met her. She's vicious. So now he really has this thing against women. Multiple research studies have examined the question whether men who abuse women tend to be survivors of childhood abuse, and the link turned out to be weak. Other predictors of which men are likely to abuse women have proven far more reliable, as we will see. Notably, men who are violent towards other men are often victims of child abuse, but the connection is much less clear for men who assault women. The one exception is those abusers who are brutally physically violent or terrifying towards women often do have histories of being abused as children. In other words, a bad childhood doesn't cause a man to become an abuser, but it can contribute to making a man who is abusive especially dangerous. Okay, we'll move on. There's more here, but we'll move on to myth number 2. He had a previous partner who mistreated him terribly, and now he has a problem with women as a result. He's a wonderful man, and that B word made him get like this. As we saw with Fran in Chapter 1, an abuser's bitter tale of emotional destruction by a past wife or girlfriend can have a powerful impact on his current partner. In the most common version of the story, the man recounts how his ex-partner broke his heart by cheating on him, perhaps with several different men. If you ask him how he found out, he answers that, quote, everybody knew about it, or his friends told him. He also may say, I caught her cheating myself. But when you press him on what he actually saw, it often turns out to be that he saw nothing, or he saw her talking to some guy or riding in his car late at night. So I could tell. He may describe other wounds he received from a previous partner. She tried to control him. She wouldn't let him have any freedom. She expected him to wait on her hand and foot. She turned their children against him. She even had him arrested out of vindictiveness. What he is describing usually are his own behaviors, but he attributes them to the woman so that he is the victim. He can gain sympathy from his new partner in this fashion, especially because so many women know what it's like to be abused. Unfortunately, they can also connect with his distress. The abusive or controlling man can draw a rich set of excuses from his past relationships. If it's an excuse for mistreating you, it's a distortion, is what he says. A man who was genuinely mistreated in a relationship with a woman would not be using that experience to get away with hurting anyone else. Consider the reverse situation for a moment. Have you ever heard a woman claim that the reason why she is chronically mistreating her male partner is because a previous man abused her? I have never run into this excuse in the 15 years I have worked in the field of abuse. I'm going to leave that there. Okay, so myth number 3. He's abusive because he feels so strongly about me. People cause those they care about most deeply the most pain. Excuses along these lines crop up frequently in my groups for abusive men. My clients say to me, no one else gets me upset like she does. I just go out of my head sometimes because I have such strong feelings for her. The things she does really hurt me and nobody else can get under my skin like that. Abusers can use this rationalization successfully with their partners, friends, and relatives. There's a grain of truth to it. People we love can cause us deeper pain than anyone else. But what does this have to do with abuse? The abuser would like us to accept the following simple but erroneous formula. Feelings cause behavior. That's not true. Feelings don't cause behavior, right? When people feel hurt, they lash out at someone else in retaliation. When they feel jealous, they become possessive and accusatory. When they feel controlled, they yell and threaten, right? Wrong. Each human being deals with being hurt or resentment in a unique way. When you feel insulted or bullied, you may reach for a chocolate bar. In the same circumstance, that's me. In the same circumstance, I might burst into tears. Me also. Another person may put his or her feelings quickly into words, confronting the mistreatment directly. Although our feelings can influence how we wish to act, our choices of how to behave are ultimately determined more by our attitudes than our habits. We respond to our emotional wounds based on what we believe about ourselves, how we think about the person who has hurt us, and how we perceive the world. Only in people who are severely traumatized or have major mental illnesses is a behavior governed by feelings, and only a tiny percentage of abusive men have these kinds of severe psychological problems. There are other reasons not to accept the love causes abuse excuse. First, many people reserve their best behavior and kindest treatment for their loved ones, including their partners. Should we accept the idea that these people feel love less strongly or have less passion than an abuser does? Nonsense. Outside of my professional life, I have known many couples over the years who had passion and electricity between them and who treated each other well. But unfortunately, there's wide acceptance in our society of the unhealthy notion that passion and aggression are interwoven and that cruel verbiage, exchanges, and bomb-like explosions are the price you pay for a relationship that is exciting, deep, and sexy. Popular romantic movies and soap operas sometimes reinforce this image. Most abusive men have close relationships with people other than their wives or girlfriends. My clients may feel deep fondness for one or both of their parents, a sibling, a dear friend, an aunt, or an uncle. Do they abuse their other loved ones? Rarely. It isn't the deep love or affection that causes his behavior problem. Myth number 4. He holds in his feelings too much, and they build up until he bursts. He needs to get in touch with his emotions and learn to express them to prevent those explosive episodes. My colleagues and I refer to this belief as the boiler theory of men. The idea is that a person can only tolerate so much accumulated pain and frustration. If it doesn't get vented periodically, kind of like a pressure cooker, then there's bound to be a serious accident. This myth has the ring of truth to it because we are all aware of how many men keep too much emotion pent up inside. Since most abusers are male, it seems to add up. But it doesn't, and here's why. Most of my clients are not unusually repressed. In fact, many of them express their feelings more than some non-abusive men. Rather than trapping everything inside, they actually tend to do the opposite. They have an exaggerated idea of how important their feelings are. They talk about their feelings and act them out all the time until their partners and children are exhausted from hearing about it all. An abuser's emotions are likely to be too big as too small. They can fill up the whole house. When he feels bad, he thinks that life should stop for everyone else in the family until someone fixes his discomfort. His partner's life crisis, the children's sicknesses, meals, birthdays, nothing else matters as much as his feelings. It's not his feelings the abuser is too distant from. It's his partner's feelings and his children's feelings. Those are the emotions he knows so little about and that he needs to get in touch with. My job as an abuse counselor often involves steering the discussion away from how my clients feel and towards how they think, including their attitudes towards their partner's feelings. My clients keep trying to drive the ball back into the court that is familiar and comfortable to them, where their inner world is the only thing that matters. For decades, many therapists have been attempting to help abusive men change by guiding them in identifying and expressing feelings. Alas, this well-meaning but misguided approach actually feeds the abuser's selfish focus on himself, which is an important force driving his abusiveness. Part of why you may be tempted to accept the boiler theory of men is that you may observe that your partner follows a pattern where he becomes increasingly withdrawn, says less and less, seems to be bubbling gradually from a simmer to a boil, and then erupts in a geyser of yelling, put-downs, and ugliness. It looks like an emotional explosion, so naturally you assume that it is. But the mounting tension, the pressure cooker, the buildup of his feelings is actually being driven by his lack of empathy for your feelings, and by a set of attitudes that we will examine later. And he explodes when he gives himself permission to do so. Myth number 5. He has a violent, explosive personality. He needs to learn to be less aggressive. Does your partner usually get along reasonably well with everyone else except you? Is it unusual for him to verbally abuse other people or get in physical fights with men? If he does get aggressive with men, is it usually related somehow to you? For example, getting up in the face of a man who he thinks is checking you out? The great majority of abusive men are fairly calm and reasonable in most of their dealings that are unrelated to their partners. In fact, the partners of my clients constantly complain to me, how come he can be so nice to everybody else, but he has to treat me like dirt? If a man's problems were that he had an aggressive personality, he wouldn't be able to reserve that side of himself just for you. Many therapists have attempted over the years to lead abusive men towards their more sensitive, vulnerable side, but the sad reality is that plenty of gentle, sensitive men are viciously and sometimes violently abusive to their female partners. The two-sided nature of abusers is a central aspect of the mystery. The societal stereotype of the abuser as relatively uneducated, blue-collar male adds to the confusion. The faulty equation goes abuse equals muscle-bound caveman, which in turn equals lower class. In addition to the fact that this image is an unfair stereotype of working class men, it also overlooks the fact that professional or college educated that a professional or college-educated man has roughly the same likelihood of abusing women as anyone else. A successful business person, a college professor, or a sailing instructor may be less likely to adopt a tough guy image with tattoos all over his body, but still may well be a nightmare partner. Class and racial stereotypes permit the more privileged members of society to duck the problem of abuse by pretending that it is someone else's problem. Their thinking goes, it's those construction worker guys who never went to college. It's those Latinos. It's those street toughs. They're abusers. Our town, our neighborhood isn't like that. We're macho men here. Or no, we're not macho men here. LOL. Okay, myth number 6. He loses control of himself. He just goes wild. Many years ago, I was interviewing a woman named Sheila by telephone. She was describing the rages that my client Michael would periodically have. He just goes absolutely berserk, and you never know when he's going off like that. He'll just start grabbing whatever's around and throwing it. He heaves stuff everywhere, against the walls, on the floor. It's just a mess. And he smashes stuff, important things sometimes. Then it's like the storm passes. He calms down and he leaves for a while. Later, he seems ashamed of himself. I asked Sheila 2 questions. The first was, when things got broken, were they Michael's things or were they her things? Or things that belonged to both of them? She left a considerable silence while she thought. Then she said, you know what? I'm amazed that I never thought of this, but he only breaks my stuff. I can't think of one thing he smashed that belonged to him. Next, I asked her who cleans up the mess. She answered that she does. I commented, see, Michael's behavior isn't nearly as berserk as it looks, and if he really felt so remorseful, he'd help clean up. Question 2, is he doing it on purpose? When a client of mine tells me that he's become abusive because he lost control of himself, I ask him why he didn't do something even worse. For example, I might say, you called her an effing whore and grabbed the phone out of her hand and whipped it across the room, and then you gave her a shove and she fell down. There she was at your feet. It would have been easy to kick her in the head. Now that you've just finished telling me that you were totally out of control at the time, but you didn't kick her, what stopped you? And the client can always give me a reason. Here are some explanations. I wouldn't want to cause her serious injury. Clutches pearls. I realized one of the children was watching. I was afraid someone would call the police. I could kill her if I did that. The fight was getting loud and I was afraid neighbors would hear. And the most frequent response of all, Jesus, I wouldn't do that. I would never do something like that to her. The response that I almost never heard, I remember hearing it twice in 15 years, was, I don't know. These ready answers strip the cover off my client's loss of control excuse. While a man is on an abusive rampage, verbally or physically, his mind maintains awareness of a number of questions. Am I doing something that other people could find out about, so it can make me look bad? Am I doing anything that could get me in legal trouble? Could I get myself hurt? Am I doing anything that I myself consider too cruel, gross, or violent? A critical insight seeped from me into working with my first few dozen clients. And this is in bold. An abuser almost never does anything that he himself considers morally unacceptable. He may hide what he does because he thinks other people would disagree with it, but he feels justified inside. I can't remember a client ever having said to me, "There's no way I can defend what I did. It was just totally wrong." He invariably has a reason that he considers good enough. In short, an abuser's core problem is that he has a distorted sense of right and wrong. All right, myth number 7. He's too angry. He needs to learn anger management skills. A few years ago, the partner of one of my clients went through an ordeal where her 12-year-old son from a previous marriage disappeared for more than 48 hours. For 2 days, Mary Beth's heart was beating faster and faster as she drove around town looking for her son, made panicked phone calls to everyone she knew, and dropped her son's photograph at police departments, newspapers, and radio stations. She barely slept. Meanwhile, her new husband, Ray, who was in one of my groups, was slowly building to a boil inside. Toward the end of the second day, he finally burst out yelling at her, "I am so sick of being ignored by you. It's like I don't even exist. Go F yourself." When people conclude that anger causes abuse, they are confusing cause and effect. Ray was not abusive because he was angry. He was angry because he was abusive. Abusers carry attitudes that produce fury. A non-abusive man would not expect his wife to be taking emotional care of him during a crisis of this gravity. In fact, he would be focused on what he could do for her and trying to find the child. It would be futile to teach Ray to take a time out to punch pillows, take a brisk walk, or concentrate on deep breathing because his thinking process will soon get him enraged again. In Chapter 3, you will see how and why an abuser's attitude keeps him furious. When a new client says to me, "I'm in your program because of my anger," I respond, "No, you're not. You're here because of your abuse." Myth number 8. He's crazy. He's got some mental illness that he should be medicated for. When a man's face contorts in bitterness and hatred, he looks a little insane. When his mood changes from elated to assaultive in the time it takes to turn around, his mental stability seems open to question. When he accuses his partner of plotting to harm him, he seems paranoid. It's no wonder that the partner of an abusive man would come to suspect that he was mentally ill. Yet the great majority of my clients over the years have been psychologically normal. Their minds work logically, they understand cause and effect, they don't hallucinate, their perceptions of most life circumstances are reasonably accurate, they get good reports at work, they do well in school or training programs, and no one other than their partners and children thinks that there is anything wrong with them. In bold here, their value system is unhealthy, not their psychology. Much of what appears to be crazy behavior in an abuser is actually works well for him. We already met Michael, who never broke his own stuff, and Marshall, who did not believe his own jealous accusations. In the pages ahead, you will encounter many more examples of the method behind the abuser's madness. You will also learn how distorted his view of his partner is, which can make him appear emotionally disturbed and where those distortions spring from. The most recent research shows that even physically violent abusers, the rate of mental illness is not high. Several of my brutal battering clients have had psychological evaluations, and only one of them was found to have a mental illness. At that time, some of my clients whom I have believed to be truly insane have not necessarily been among the most violent. Research does indicate that most extreme physical batterers, the ones who choke their partners to unconsciousness, who hold GUNs to their heads, who stalk and in them, have increased rates of mental illness. But there is no particular mental health condition that is typical of these severe batterers. They can have a range of diagnoses, including psychosis, borderline personality, manic depression, antisocial personality, obsessive compulsive, and others. And even among the most dangerous abusers, there are many who do not show clear psychiatric symptoms of any kind. Myth number 9, he hates women. His mother or some other woman must have done something terrible to him. The notion that abusive men hate women was popularized by Susan Forward's book, Men Who Hate Women and the Women Who Love Them. Dr. Forward's descriptions of abusive men are the most accurate ones I have read, but she was mistaken on one point. Most abusers don't hate women. They often have close relationships with their mothers or sisters or female friends. A fair number are able to work successfully with a female boss and respect her authority, at least outwardly. Disrespect for women certainly is rampant among abusive men, with attitudes toward women that fall in a continuum from those who can interact constructively with most women to men who are misogynist and treat most women they encounter with superiority and contempt. In general, I find that my clients' view that their partners should cater to their needs and are not worthy of being taken seriously does indeed carry over into how they view other females, including their own daughters. But as we will see in Chapter 13, the disrespect that abusive men so often direct towards women in general tends to be born of their cultural values and conditioning rather than personal experience of being victimized by women. Myth 10. He is afraid of intimacy and abandonment. Abusive men are often jealous and possessive, and their coercive and destructive behaviors can escalate when their partners attempt to break up with them. Some psychologists have glanced quickly at this pattern and concluded that abusers have an extreme fear of abandonment, but many people, both male and female, are afraid of abandonment and may reel from panic, heartbreak, or desperation when being left by a partner. If a person's panicked reaction to being left could cause threats, stalking, or murder, our entire society would be a war zone. Myth 11. He suffers from low self-esteem. He needs his self-image shored up. And this is a question you're supposed to ask, I guess. Is it because he feels bad about himself? An abused woman tends to pour precious energy into supporting her abusive partner and massaging his ego, hoping against hope that if he is kept well stroked, his next explosion might be averted. How well does this strategy work? Unfortunately, not very. You can't manage an abuser except for brief periods. Praising him and boosting his self-opinion may buy you some time, but sooner or later he'll jump back into chewing pieces out of you. When you try to improve an abuser's feelings about himself, his problem actually tends to get worse. An abusive man expects catering, and the more positive attention he receives, the more he demands. He never reaches a point where he is satisfied, where he has been given enough. Rather, he gets used to the luxurious treatment he is receiving and soon escalates his demands. Mama Heat, welcome. Thank you so much for the super chat. The self-esteem myth is rewarding for an abuser because it gets his partner, his therapist, and others to cater to him emotionally. Imagine the privileges an abused man may acquire. Getting his own way most of the time, having his partner bend over backwards to keep him happy so he won't explode, getting to behave as he pleases, and then on top of it, he gets praise for what a good person he is, and everyone is trying to help him feel better about himself. Myth 12. His boss abuses him so he feels powerless and unsuccessful. He comes home and takes it out on his family because that is the one place he can feel powerful. I call this the boss abuses man, man abuses woman, woman abuses children, children get hit by dog. I heard of this in 5th grade and it was called the chain of screaming. The image it creates seems plausible, but too many pieces fail to fit. Hundreds of my clients have been popular, successful, good-looking men, not downtrodden, looking for a scapegoat for their inner torment. Some of the worst abusers I have worked with have been at the top of the management ladder with no boss to blame. The more power these men have in their jobs, the more catering and submission they expect at home. Several of my clients have told me, I have to order people around where I work, so I have trouble snapping out of that mode when I get home. So while some abusers have the mean boss excuse, others use the opposite. The most important point is this one. In my 15 years in the field of abuse, I have never once had a client whose behavior at home has improved because his job situation improved. Myth 13. He has poor communication, conflict resolution, and stress management skills. He needs training. An abusive man is not unable to resolve conflicts non-abusively. He is unwilling to do so. The skill deficits of abusers have been the subject of a number of research studies, and the results lead to the following conclusion. Abusers have normal abilities in conflict resolution, communication, and assertiveness when they choose to use them. They typically get through their tense situations at work without threatening anyone. They manage their stress without exploding when they spend Thanksgiving with their parents. They share openly with their siblings regarding their sadness over a grandparent's death, but they don't want to handle these kind of issues non-abusively when it involves their partners. You can equip an abuser with the most innovative new age skills for expressing his deep emotions, listening actively, and using win-win bargaining, and he will go home and continue abusing. In the coming chapters, we'll see why. Myth 14. There are just as many abusive women as abusive men. Abused men are invisible because they are ashamed to tell. There certainly are some women who treat their male partners badly, berating them, calling them names, attempting to control them. The negative impact on these men's lives can be considerable. But do we see men whose self-esteem is gradually destroyed through the process? Do we see men whose progress in school or in their careers grinds to a halt because of constant criticism and undermining? Where are the men whose partners are forcing them to have unwanted schmegs? Where are the men who are fleeing to shelters in fear for their lives? How about the ones who try to get a phone call for help, but the women block their way or cut the line? The reason we don't generally see these men is simple. They're rare. I don't question how embarrassing it would be for a man to come forward and admit that a woman has been abusing him, but don't underestimate how humiliated a woman feels when she reveals abuse. Women crave dignity just as much as men do. If shame stopped people from coming forward, no one would tell. The Bayou, thank you so much for the super chat. Oh, I appreciate all the effort you make. It's so necessary. I pray and thank God for this group. Oh, thank you. Okay, we have a few more myths here, and then I think we have 3 more, and then we'll get into the realities of it maybe next time. But he dispels the myths before then he tells you like the truths about what's going on there. So, okay, myth 15. Abuse is as bad for the man who is doing it as it is for his partner. They are both victims. My clients get over the pain of abuse incidents far faster than their partners do. Recall Dale from chapter 1, who insisted to me that the first 10 years of his marriage had gone swimmingly, while Maureen's recounted 10 years of insult and cruelty. Certainly, Abusing one's partner is not a healthy lifestyle, but the negative effects don't hold a candle to the emotional and physical pain, loss of freedom, self-blame, and numerous other shadows that abuse casts over the life of its female target. Unlike alcoholics or addicts, abusive men don't hit bottom. They can continue abusing for 20 or 30 years, and their careers remain successful, their health stays normal, their friendships endure. Abusers actually tend to benefit in many ways from their controlling behaviors. An abuser can usually outperform his victim on psychological tests, such as ones who are routinely required during custody disputes, because he is not the one who has been traumatized by years of psychological or physical assault. No one who listens carefully to the tragic accounts of abused women and then sees the abusers each week at a counseling group, as my colleagues and I have done, could be fooled into believing that life is equally hard for the men. Myth 16. He is abusive because he has faced so much societal discrimination and disempowerment as a man of color, so at home he needs to feel powerful. I address this myth in detail in Chapter 6 under Racial and Cultural Differences in Abuse, so here I offer only a brief review. First, a majority of abusive men are white. Many of them are well educated and economically privileged, so discrimination couldn't be a central cause of partner abuse. Second, if a man has experienced oppression himself, it could just as easily make him more sympathetic to a woman's distress as less so, as is true for childhood abuse. And in fact, there are men of color among the most visible leaders in the United States in the movement against the abuse of women. So while discrimination against people of color is a terribly serious problem today, it should not be accepted as an excuse for abusing women. Myth 17. This is the last one. The alcohol is what makes him abusive. If I can get him to stay sober, our relationship will be fine. So many men hide their abusiveness under the cover of alcoholism or drug addiction that I have chosen to devote Chapter 8 to explore this issue of addiction in detail. The most important point is to be aware of this. Alcohol cannot create an abuser, and sobriety cannot cure one. The only way a man can overcome his abusiveness is by dealing with his abusiveness, and you are not enabling your partner to mistreat you. He is entirely responsible for his own actions. And then it just says key points to remember. An abusive man's emotional problems do not cause his abusiveness. You cannot change him by figuring out what is bothering him and helping him to feel better or improving the dynamics of your relationship. Feelings do not govern abusive or controlling behavior. Beliefs, values, or habits are the driving forces. The reason that an abusive man gives for his behavior are simply excuses. There is no way to overcome a problem with abusiveness by focusing on tangents such as self-esteem, conflict resolution, anger management, or impulse control. Abusiveness is resolved by dealing with abusiveness. Abusers thrive on creating confusion, including confusion about the abuse itself. There's nothing wrong with you. Your partner's abuse is a problem that is his own. Boom. All this. How do you know? How do you know if he's abusing you? Yeah, excusing the red flags, because if we acknowledge them, we can't have the person we want so bad. Yeah. Okay, so those are the myths. And I think my voice is starting to go. So I'm going to wrap this one up for today. Thank you guys for joining me on this lovely of Fridays. And thank you so much for your super chats and for all the support on Patreon. And we don't have a video this week. Do we? No. We have From the Vault. So yeah, we have a From the Vault one. And I think that's all I got to say. We can drop our candle links in the description if you're interested in that. But I think I'm going to leave that there. All right. Thanks for being here, party people. And I'll see you when I see you. Bye.